What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. That is good.
It's another Sunday. You know what that means. Pod class is in session. Oh, really? Boy, do I have an announcement for you. We're going to do it right from the jump, too. Live from the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. From the Northern Command Center of Red One Studios, this is the Special Mail Brother. Coming in hot.
Fundamentally, all men are geeks. Stop denying it, bastards. Some of us are tabletop role-playing game geeks. Join us for some non-SGW, non-woke, non-PC bullshit. Old-school advanced Dungeons and Dragons. At least once per month, sometimes twice, we get together with Dungeon Master Rollo Tomasi and Drew Bay for some dice slinging in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. If you're tired of the woke assholes that abound in tabletop gaming, these sniveling, overly sensitive, easily offended dipshits, then be sure to tune in to Masculine Geek D&MD. We're not politically correct. We're raw, unfiltered, and uncensored Dungeons and Dragons gamers. Get on board, pussies. We're making history. No broads allowed. Get your own game, ladies. Spurgs and tars need not apply.
Hello there, children. How's it going?
Life of a single girl in LA. I wake up at 10 a.m., hungover from the night before. I check my phone and send out several apology texts to the guys I flaked on last night. I spend the next 3 hours getting ready before I walk outside because you never know when you'll meet a professional athlete, famous musician, or generic rich guy. At 11 a.m., I drink my $32 matcha from Air One. After that, I do rigorous mat Pilates. Then I do a quick thirst trap and my DMs are flooded with men I'll ignore and will never talk to. At 1 p.m., I have lunch with my sugar daddy. I literally just have to talk to him. I got $600 and a free meal. And just like that, it's time for my daily reading. Then I match with a random guy on Raya and he asked me to catch steak. My date didn't seem to know much about the car, so it's clearly rented. It's a nice car, but I've seen nicer. He takes me out to catch steak, which is a good place for a first date. The food was really great, but to be honest, I'm kind of sick of these men who think they can just buy me. But then some guy recognized him, which I guess is pretty cool. At around 10 p.m., he drops me off. Then he tries to make a move and I reject him. My whole life is bankrolled by different men. I can't lose all of that for this guy. I told him I can't do long distance. I live in the valley. And that's my day. Follow for more.
Anyone who doesn't know these things, people pretend, oh, sex can just be for fun. It's like, yeah, right. What is just for fun? Name one thing, let alone something as complicated and as entangling as sex. And you also see this in the public culture. It's like, because in the universities we have two things going, same thing, violation of the principle of non-contradiction. Any sexual orientation of any sort or any practice whatsoever is to be encouraged in every possible way with no holds barred and no limitations whatsoever. And every single sexual interaction between a young man and a young woman is so dangerous that you need a written contract before proceeding.
Yeah.
Every time a man's being nice to you, all he's doing is offering dick.
Men want that emotional experience almost as much as women do. But here's the thing. In my experience, it's more important for a woman to have an emotional experience in a relationship than it is for a man. That's kind of like why the woman is there. Perhaps you've heard it said that you can make a woman feel anything except bored. And there's some truth to that statement. A woman who hates you might not leave, but a woman who feels indifferently is probably looking for the door. So if it's more important for a woman to have an emotional experience in a relationship, then it's probably better that she be the adorer. Because if she's the adored, If she's up there on that pedestal, well, that might feel good for a while, but it will actually get boring pretty quickly.
Like, man, well, sometimes you don't get no hoe.
Not desirable right now. Everyone's a Kim Kardashian clone. I asked you earlier, what don't men want? And you said promiscuity. Well, that seems about the only thing that's being offered right now. When I open my Instagram and I've got butt cheeks and I'm going, people are like, I don't understand why no one wants to, this woman's been married 4 times. I'm like, well, I can understand it, because even if men think they want it in the short term, when you see a girl, she's half naked, she looks good. Yeah, sure. You probably do want to have sex with her. I bet you're wired that way. You're hardwired that way. Yeah. But then what happens after you have sex with her and you realize that so did 20 other dudes 100%. In the same week, you don't want her.
You nailed it. You absolutely not only nailed it.
No's, I think, are increasingly becoming self-inflicted. I mean, you mentioned incels. There's that study that I'm sure you're aware of that I think 30% of men under 30 have not had sex in the previous 12 months. And that's...
I haven't let that sink in. I've heard it, but that's incredible.
It's wild. And that's like tripled in the last decade. It's gone up for women too, but not nearly at the same rate. So I think a lot of men are seeing the stakes are really high. The barriers to entry they're really difficult to overcome. I am feeling hopeless. I'm going to try to turn a virtue out of a necessity and say, okay, I'm going to focus on other things in my life, which might actually be a really good strategy for me.
I love it when he goes, virtue as a necessity. I've put that in like damn near every book since 2013. I've got to call you on that, Taraban.
And I personally don't think that men should even think about settling down until they're in their mid-30s.
What?
Because
who said that?
The game changes at 30 to begin to privilege men for the first time. Women have a significant advantage over men in the 20s.
Oh my goodness.
Would you like to know more?
So difficult for people to publicly advocate for the problems of men and boys?
Because victimhood doesn't work for men the way it works for women. We don't feel sorry for men. And rightly so, by the way. Biologically, men are disposable in a way that women aren't, for the obvious reasons. If you have a tribe of 10 men, 10 women, you send the women off to war, you're screwed. You send the men off to war, one comes back, you can still replenish the population. So men are disposable, always will be, much more than women. And so we don't feel sorry for men in the same way. And I'm not advocating that we feel sorry for men, because I don't believe that's the solution to men's problems. The solution to men's problems is for men to be better.
What's that mean?
You know what I mean. Look at you. This is what your entire life is spent on, bettering yourself. Physically.
Look at you.
Emotionally, psychologically, mentally. You're obsessed with performance. You're obsessed with being better. You're obsessed with being happier, more fulfilled, all of these things. It's a pursuit of your own greatness.
Guys, the wife is going to be fine.
Really?
Yeah. Widows are way happier than widowers. I told that to my wife and she's like, huh. Widowers do really poorly, generally. Men do very poorly. And part of the reason is because these data are disputed, but more or less they're directionally correct. 60% of 60-year-old men say their best friend is their wife. 30% of their wives say their best friend is their husband. Women have more relationships. They have closer, deeper love relationships with non-related kin and with the adult children typically than the husband does. The husband's most intense companionate relationship typically is with the wife. And that's why that's an asymmetric stat. I mean, that's what the data say. But yeah, for sure. I mean, back to the main point, hope is super critical.
On illness.
On everything. I mean, hope actually affects all sorts of physiological processes. And we know that when people lose hope, they give up. And when they give up, they don't take care of themselves. They don't do what they need to do. They don't exercise like they should. They're not as active. They're not talking to other people. Their minds are not stimulated. They don't eat right. They might use substances in ways that they shouldn't, and all of those things compound. So just at the physiological level, you'd see that you'd have degradation when there is no hope. And when you're 90, you can't afford it.
I feel like I just took a bath in battery acid.
Men provide better containment and positive ownership for the cars they own than the women in their lives. Like if you've got a guy who really, really loves his car,
Don't you love this? Here's your compare and contrast moment.
Takes his car as a part of himself. You know, he's like learning everything there is to learn about that car. You know, he knows where you can and can't drive it. He knows what the make and model is. You know, he's like sitting out there rubbing it with a diaper. He's like making sure there's a security system.
She's talking about
Attitude towards the women in their lives. Believe me.
She's talking about Rich Cooper.
They would have good relationships. And also, the women in their lives would tolerate more distance.
Gentlemen, there is no such thing as a soulmate. If you think you have a soulmate, what about all those kids that were born with spina bifida and before the age of 17? How come they don't get a soulmate, but you get a soulmate? How about those kids in Africa who work in diamond mines or get limbs off? They end up before the age of 15. Where's their soulmate? You get a soulmate because you're middle class and white and you live in North America and watch Disney movies. That's why you get a soulmate. That is, you get what you get. You happen to be fortunate enough to live in a country where you have freedom and you can find a person to marry. That's fine. But this idea that there's one special person, that's an unhealthy belief.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Ooh, man, I was sorry, I was sitting down too low in the seat. Oh man, how's it going? How's it going today? We're gonna do some real fun stuff today. Yes, it's a playoff kind of weekend. So I thought I'd represent, since Brock Purdy and George Kittle and McCaffrey are hopefully going to take us to the Super Bowl. I have a bet. You can join in too if you guys want to bet. I'll be happy to bet with you. So, oh wait, Gary the Numbers guy. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Come on, you were wrong about Vegas Golden Knights last year. now we're going to see if you're right or wrong about the Super Bowl. Hopefully we'll see that now. It's about an hour and a half. Well, about 2 hours away. An hour away. About an hour away. Hour and a half away. 3:30, I think is what it is. Well, I'm in the Pacific time. I am on the West Coast, the left coast. As close as approximation as I can make it. These are not my regular headphones. I apologize. Yeah. So who cares? Yeah, there it is. There's the first one. Who cares? Wait. No. Who cares? Nobody. We know who cares about guys chasing around after an oblong ball that's not even a ball? You know, I gotta point that out right here and right now. There are too many guys on Twitter who will say, "Man, who cares about sports?" These are the same dudes that will follow like soccer, football, the original football instead of football americano. Yeah, okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I hate the fact that people think that sports is in some way beta, or it's in some way oh, you shouldn't. That's a waste of your time. Oh, if that's all you're doing, okay. But I like sports. I like watching especially I like hockey. Hockey's my favorite sport, quite honestly. Football is definitely the close second. About baseball. I like baseball when it gets to the playoffs and gets to the end of the year. I don't follow basketball as much as I'll tell you who follows basketball is Mike Sartain. Hockey's where it's at, though. Hockey is the most dangerous sport on planet Earth. You know how I know? Because think about how fast you're going on ice. Think about how fast those guys are going. They're on ice. They have on blades. And they're wearing armor. They're encouraged to fight. Well, they don't discourage fighting. Let's just put it that way. And you're basically carrying a weapon. You're carrying a hockey stick the whole time. There is no more badass sport than hockey, than ice hockey, quite honestly. You think I'm wrong? Go see how many teeth you see on the bench when they pan across the Golden Knights. Well, Golden Knights said, look, those guys pretty much have their teeth, most of them. Red Wings guys don't. Avalanche guys. That's how you know he's a good hockey player. It's like I went to a fight and a hockey match broke out. But anyways, yeah, I think I like hockey quite a bit. But I think it's interesting, especially this time of year when the playoffs are going on. And don't worry, I'll get to you. Crits. I see you. Don't worry. We're gonna be going over some videos and stuff today too. I don't want to say this is a potpourri moment, but there's a few topics I wanted to get to. And one of the great things about Access Vegas, my show in Las Vegas, is that when I'm done, usually I'm taking notes, or I'm taking at least mental notes, but sometimes I'm taking notes during the show. And I am thinking about things that I want to come back to. And so usually when I come back to them is right here, or I'll do it on my Substack. By the way, if you want to subscribe, it's the second link down, or third link down, something like that. Anyways, you can check that out. But you like the thumbnail? Oh, hi, Tori. Tori's in the house. Hi there.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah, there you go. Hi, Tori. Did you like that? It's an American is apple pie. we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And the reason why we're going to talk about traditionalism and conservatism and all that stuff is because I was made aware of this on Thursday's show. Now, I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter. If you don't, why not? And you don't follow me on Instagram, why not? You like titties? I like titties too. There, I said it. Oh man, now they're and canceled. But I was in Vegas, and of course we had the all porn star all-star weekend, all-star AVN Expo show. If you haven't checked it out, why haven't you? It was actually a fairly short show. I think we were only on for like 2.5 hours, maybe, which is a short show for us. And primarily because it's very difficult to get the girls away from the AVN Expo. What's the AVN? The AVN is the Adult Video Network. Adult Video something. I forget what the N stands for. Anyways, it's the Porn and Boobies Awards. And the expo is actually, I think, is more fun than the awards. I went to both last year. I only went to the expo for one day this year, and I was there with Tiffany Fox. I don't know if you guys have seen me around. She's been around. And then Domo, who is a crowd favorite. She has her own fan club now, thanks to Access Vegas. In fact, she actually hits me up every now and then, and she'll text me and say like, "Oh, I just ran into these people at, I don't know, Peppermint Hippo or Spearmint Rhino," or Peppermint Hippo is one of them too. Sapphire, that kind of stuff. And she'll say that she ran into people there and they know her from the show. Like, of course, how do you miss her? She's got like really super bright red hair. Anyway, she was like my Sherpa through the Expo Convention Center. And I met a lot of really great people. Shout out to Brian, big, tall dude, Asian dude, who I just said, this guy's an interesting cat. And I started talking to him, and it turned out we had a lot in common. He came down to the show, sat in the green room, made a new friend. It was cool. So anyways, after the show, I had I've got on my notes today, I've got some of the things that I wanted to talk about. I kind of wanted to circle back to. But one of the things I need to get to before I start doing anything at all is I need to make a quick announcement here. And I'm just going to throw this out here because I just talked to Myron about like Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit. I talked to him about half an hour, 45 minutes before before showtime today. And that's why I was a little bit late. Thanks a lot. But so I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's been a lot of traditional conservative content creators, influencers. I don't even know what the hell to call them. But the topic du jour, of course, amongst all of them is the red pill, right? And it occurred to me on Thursday, as well as just recently, that the topics, or I should say the themes or the narrative themes for the 2024 election cycle that you're going to see sort of in popular culture, for lack of a better term, I was of the opinion that it was going to be sort of like this culture war narrative, and I think it probably still is. I think maybe Tim Pool's played that one out already. But there are two themes that I see that are going to be played out in this year. And one of those is the red pill versus traditional conservatism, because they need a boogeyman, as we've said 100 times on this show. I won't belabor that, I promise. But when I get Chase from whatever podcast throwing out just random bullshit, and I covered this on last Sunday's show about, those red pill guys always say X. Those red pill guys, certain influencers, certain red pill guys, red pill influencers always say blah, 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 blah. Until you say names, until you drop names, you're a fucking coward. I will reiterate that. I made a very strong statement about that. That's funny because I'm surprised nobody actually. Sorry, let me get this real quick. I'm surprised nobody made some like hack video of me, like, getting all frothing at the mouth at for that shit. But you want to drive Rollo Tomasi crazy, you start popping off with shit like, the red pill this, or red pill guys always say X, and it's like, who? Yeah, thank you very much. Who the fuck are you talking about? Who is all those red pill guys? Because the only people that I can think of who you would say that about would maybe be Andrew Tate and maybe Pearl. And Andrew wants nothing to do with the red pill now. So just saying that he's disowned the red pill officially, as far as I know, well, until November 6th, probably. assuming he's not put in jail before then. But after November 6th, then suddenly everybody's going to come back to the red pill. But, but just incrementally, probably until like March of 2025. Then everybody's going to sort of file back into the red pill club again. And I'm going to be the first one to say, here's what I'm going to say. Wait. Out of the pool. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you guys. You guys aren't about it. That's why. So, as you know, there's been sort of a back and forth between Chase and Myron Gaines as well, because later on, then finally, Chase had the balls enough to at least mention Myron's name. But he doesn't want to mention anybody else's name. We get random cake thought. We get random trad thoughts. We get random Tradspergs saying the same thing. Those red pill guys always say their philosophy is this. Their beliefs are this. The red pill movement is this. Let me tell you, you don't even know what the fuck the red pill is. Okay. Until you've been in this for like a decade. I've been doing this for 22 years, going on 23. I've been doing this for 20, at least 22 years now. Until you can name who Royce is, until you can tell me who Roosh was, until you can tell me who Dalrock is, until you can tell me like it's just some basic names. Get the fuck out. You have no business being here. And I don't care how big your fucking platform is, and I don't care how many followers you paid for, and I don't care what you used to do before you jumped into the red pill, swimming pool with both feet. You got no business being here if you're not about it. And I'll be the first one to call you out on that. And so will Myron, because Myron's been about it for quite some time. And anyways, it's come down to this. I'm still on the bench about all of this. So no, this is in the larval stage. Nothing has been developed yet. Nothing has matured into or metastasized. Nothing has metastasized yet. But I had Brian from whatever podcast give me a call last Sunday, and he wanted to set up some kind of debate between myself, Andrew Wilson, Mike Sartain, and Justin Waller versus Chase and I don't know, whoever else. I mean, at first he wanted to mention Pearl. I'm like, no, not her. But I mean, if he wanted to get Lila Rose or whatever, and I really think that I think that a lot of the, I don't know what his arrangement is with Daily Wire, but I think that a lot of the, like Candace Owens has been on that show, Amala from PragerU has been on that show, Michael Knowles. Charlie Kirk will be on it here probably in another 2 hours. I don't know when he gets started, but Charlie Kirk is coming on whatever podcast tonight. Pixie is going to be on there too. By the way, Pixie, who also talks about those red pill guys, is going to be on there. And I'm going to I will make my prediction right now, and you guys can tell me if I'm right. Like Rolo Damas will wait. Here we go. Oh, mighty and powerful Magic 8 Ball. What will happen with Michael Knowles? What will happen with Michael Knowles on whatever podcast? The Magic 8 Ball says that Michael Knowles is going to just basically sit there and wag his finger and pound his Bible and tell these girls that they ain't living right, basically. Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is going to be on there. I didn't say Michael Knowles. Charlie Kirk will be on there. Charlie Kirk will be wagging his finger and will be slamming his Bible and will be telling these girls that they ain't living right. And the girls are just going to sit there like deer in the fucking headlights. And it's going to be kind of a boring show. Not because I don't think that some of the girls will push back. They probably will. But you can only sit there and like wag your finger for so long. But, the profit model is, farm super chats. Speaking of super chats, Gonzalo, Lira, Gonzo, Andrew Tate, Jake Shields are the dumbest actors I have ever seen, doing way more harm than any good for the red pill. Aren't they? Hell yeah, they are. Thanks. Kappa. Is that what you wanted to put on the screen? There you go. There's your racist shit. No, Gonzo, is he dead? Is he really dead? Can somebody confirm that? I know his dad said he was, but I hate to be the bearer of, or I hate to like, speak ill of the dead, but he has faked his death before. So until I see that, we're not doing the memorial show and it'll be a very short show for Gonzalo. I don't know exactly. Thoughts on Vince McMahon allegations? He has resigned from the WWE. Yeah, I know. I was surprised he hadn't resigned a long time ago. Now, I found out about this courtesy of, I think it was, I know. Oh, it was Tiffany. Tiffany Fox told me that. We were at, Domo and Tiffany told me that Vince McMahon had stepped down from, I guess, the chairmanship or whatever that is at the WWE. Because there's a lot of allegations of him like doing some nasty. Wait.
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty?
Vince McMahon, what the fuck are you thinking, man? It involved, let's see, fecal matter. And it involved throwing the tossing of sex toys at women. And I was like, what is he doing? They're taking one of them big old fat, like long, double dick dildos and like, what is he do? Like, what are you throwing, Vince? Jesus Christ. I don't know. I don't care. I don't follow professional wrestling. Not anymore. I never really followed it seriously, but like that's nasty.
That's nasty. It is nasty,
shit.
right? Isn't it nasty?
Perfect sound drop for that too. Double Mountain Coffee. There's your plug. DMC. Run DMC. Devil Mountain Coffee. Buy it today. Yes, they're. I think they got a reload now. It's a very popular coffee, man. I'm surprised that they have as much as they do. Yeah, nasty. There you go. Is that what you wanted to do? Barolo, front of the class. Thank you very much, my friend. Crits. I am stuck in the anger depression phase. I'm angry more at myself. My gut intuition told me to do everything the red pill says, but I went against it. Yep. Well, okay. So would you like to know how? Would you like to know more?
Would you like to know more?
To get out of the anger phase. First of all, some people will tell you, and I'll sometimes I think this is a good idea, but like go monk mode, but be sure you get out of monk mode. Do monk mode for like 3 months. Don't do it for 6 months. Don't do it for a year, and make sure that you have a timeline to get out and sort of like stop feeling sorry for yourself. The problem I have with guys who sort of get unplugged from the Matrix, guys who take the red pill, guys who sort of read my book and they kind of have this sort of awakening, I guess, for lack of a better term. That's part of the anger phase. I'll go through the 5 stages of unplugging if you'd like, but the anger phase is definitely one. It's a parallel to the 5 stages of grief. One of those is anger, and the problem is too many guys get stuck in the anger phase, and it's what I call getting stuck in the abyss. So there's ways to get around that, but the first step I think is just sort of go monk mode. Just focus on yourself, do your own thing, like just take care of yourself for a little bit, and don't allow the anger to be directed at women. You're going to be angry. It's okay. Most guys, when they go through the anger phase, it's usually because they're angry at themselves. They're like, why didn't I see this beforehand? KK, I'm going to read your super chat because I don't want to put that on, because what I'm going to do is get a strike. So I'll just read this. Thank you for good attitude regarding my question about Gonzo. You are the most based. I learned the most from you, while I know a few of the speakers. Okay, that's great. I'm just going to read that. I can't put it on there because what will happen is all your good friends at Destiny's Playhouse will mass report. Oh, look, there's a KK. On there. All right. Thanks. Crits, I got to you. Let's see. David. Rolla, have you seen LARPing with real armor and swords? It's called the SCA, the Society for Creative Anachronisms. Ask me how I know. You only gave me $2. I need more than $2 to explain all that to you, because it will take a long ass time. When women lay out their long list of prerequisites, isn't that a case of medium is the message? Yes. I.e. that they just don't want to be monogamous. What is the median age of girls on Access Vegas? The median age. Well, to answer your first question, medium is the message is more than just don't believe what they say, believe what they do. Like people have been talking about that for forever. And when I wrote medium is the message, trust me, we had covered that in the SoSwap forums like to death by the time I'd written that out, because there's too many hustlers. There's too many positivity hustlers and success porn gurus, meaning that success is their own kind of pornography. Get it? Who want to say like they'll take medium as the message and they'll take a mental point of origin and they'll put their Tony Robbins spin on it. Well, what Rollo's really saying is no. Let me tell you what I'm really saying here, okay? But they'll say, well, Rollo is saying, focus on yourself and be number one in your life. No, that's not what mental point of origin means. And then the other part is medium is the message, which of course sounds a whole hell of a lot like, don't believe what she says, believe what she does. Well, yeah, but you also have to compare and contrast what she says with what she does. It's not just one or the other. So when I talk about the medium as the message, what I'm saying is that the medium, the behavior is sending you, it's telling you something else, right? What is the behavior telling you? This is like my area of expertise in psychology is not evolutionary psychology, which I really wish it had been now in hindsight, but they didn't have the program when I was taking it. But it was behaviorism. Behaviorism is like, what is the behavior saying? The cardinal rule, I guess, of behaviorism is that behavior is the only reliable metric of motivation, incentive, like what is driving, what is motivating that person. That's where medium is the message came from. So when a woman flakes on you for the second time or the third time, she doesn't, she doesn't give you any other dates or any, she doesn't, she feigns interest. That's the message. The medium is the flake. The message is what, gentlemen? What, kids? I don't have any interest in you. That's what it is. So when I wrote the medium is the message, it was really in response to all these guys saying, Rollo, I got this girl and she's sending me mixed messages. No, she is not. She is being absolutely very, very 100% crystal clear with her behavior. You just don't want to accept what the message is of that behavior. That's where medium is the message comes from. And what is the median age of the girls on? We have had them as young as 20. I don't think we've had anyone below. I don't think we've ever had anyone below 21. So Maya Allegra is 12 now. She's going to turn precious tender age of 22 coming up. I love you. She was 21 when she came on. So she was been, as far as I remember, she's the youngest we've ever had on there. They've all been drinking age, put it that way. I don't think that that Mike would like entertain any girl who's below 20 or is like 20 or younger, because you can't do anything with them in Vegas unless they got a fake ID. And that's some other problems, right? So 21 is the youngest. The oldest we've had on was 50, I think. 49, 50. That was Jen from Jen on the Block. Okay. So between 21 and 50, those are the two. So was that like 30, the median age, 32, somewhere around there? 34. There you go. The youngest was 21. Jen was probably the oldest at 50. So there you go. See, look, I can just do that off the top of my head. Well, these guys just go and cherry pick all these dumb girls to make them look even dumber. No, we don't. We know all these girls. Hello, Tomasi. I'm 22. Never dated. I need help. Vincent Van Lockhart. Well, for $1.99, here's what I'm going to tell you. Read The Rational Male first. Read that book. And then what I'd like you to do is once you've read that one, people ask me this, this is actually a good opportunity. I shouldn't be facetious here. When people ask me about Rollo, what book should I start with? Always the answer is number one. Always start with The Rational Male, published in 2013, soon to be reissued soon. I promise you. If I could ever get to it, I was almost done too. And then Ned broke a leg, literally. I'll give you the update on Ned too. Anyways, read the first book. And then if you're struggling with dating, there's two more that I would say. Now, you don't have to read my books in any particular order, except for the first one first. Anything after that is sort of like based on interests. So think of the first book as like the core rule set. And then all of the like book 2, 3, and 4, and 5 are the supplements to it. So if you're more concerned with dating and everything else, I will suggest that you read The Player's Handbook, which is my last book, which is the fifth book. So go from, I would say, read the first book and then read the fifth book, which is The Player's Handbook. Those are my best suggestions. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude, you're killing me with this shit. Is the new Tradwife Trad Thought Grift the Tradcon version of OnlyFans? Yes, it is. When will the hardback of The Rational Male be out? Middle of February. I still have to go through the approval process. Have you read Richard Reeves of Boys and Men? Yes. In fact, we're going to read 2 of those today. 2 of his Substacks today. I got those on tap right now. Yes, and as a matter of fact, I've had Richard Reeves on Access Vegas. So I was thinking of reading that soon. Thoughts? A better book. And I hate to shit on Rich because I like Richard Reeves. I mean, not Richard Cooper. Rich Reeves. I would say don't start with that book first. Start with The Boy Crisis, which is Dr. Warren Farrell, because a lot of the stuff that Rich does, sorry, Rich, but a lot of that was already done. And I think probably more thoroughly in The Boy Crisis by Dr. Warren Farrell. Read that one. And then actually read that and then tell me what you think, and then read Richard Reeves' book and then compare and contrast those two, because I think you'll see a lot of similarities in their processing. I'll tell you the other thing that gets me about Richard Reeves, and I'm going to read one of his articles here today. The thing that gets me about Rich is all this stuff that we've been talking about in this show, but also like since I've been talking with Pat Campbell from back in the day, from 2018 to now, live, is more or less what a lot of these sort of liberal think tank like Brookings Institute people are really coming out with. So what gets me right now is the crisis of masculinity, such as it is unignorable, and they're rehashing and reheating a lot of the topics that we were talking about back in 2012, 2014. And so when they talk about, for instance, the crisis of male loneliness, and I see this all the time. Oh, men are lonely. Well, that's not our problem. Well, they're lonely because because they're not like women, because they don't act like women. They're not properly trained. They need to go back to chick school or whatever, bitch school. So they can learn to be more emotional, so they can be more like girls, because if they were, then they wouldn't be lonely, because us girls are never lonely. We've got all kinds of friends and all kinds of social networks, and we got all kinds of attention over and over and over again on social media. I don't understand. I think it must be because guys don't act more like women. So if they did, then they wouldn't be lonely. It must be toxic masculinity. It must be anything except for something that might point back at women. That's what it comes down to. And by the way, it's not just women that are saying that. It's guys like Richard Reeves. It's guys like or Candace Owens. It's not just a liberal or a conservative thing. It's a gynocentric thing. And that's really the theme of today's show. Is it doesn't matter if you're conservative. It doesn't matter if you're liberal. It doesn't matter if you're a progressive. It doesn't matter if you're a leftist. It doesn't matter if you're a rightist. It doesn't matter if you're part of Nick Fuentes' Spurg army. It doesn't matter if you watch a Daily Wire on a daily basis. It's not a red or a blue problem. It's a masculine problem. It's men. It's a intersexual dynamics problem. And as I've said before, feminism, the bugbear, he said feminism, is endemic on both sides of the political aisle. So when I look at like someone like Nikki Haley, that's a feminist. That is she doesn't have, fuchsia colored hair. She doesn't look like Lena Dunham. She doesn't have, she didn't grow her armpit hairs out or wear some with the red salute feminist, iconography. But she's a feminist. So is Candace Owens. So is Lila Rose. You are a feminist. In fact, if I get to the point where I can actually talk to these people, I'm going to bring that up. When am I going to talk to them? Well, I'll tell you. Myron Gaines issued this challenge just today. In fact, you know what? I might even just pull this bad boy out. And I'll just read it to you. Myron just texted this before the show. I challenge Sovereign Bra. That's bra. Dude, can we stop bra? Sovereign Bra, which is Chase from whatever podcast. Lila Rose, Sydney Watson at my suggestion, and Michael Knowles, or any Tradcon from the Daily Wire to debate the red pill on the Fresh and Fit podcast. You guys want to come to the big leagues? Come down. I can't get you to Vegas to save my fucking life. Let's go to Miami. Myron's going to host. It's a huge platform. You will get all kinds of clips out of this one. Come and meet me on the open field. I will either stay a neutral host or be in the debate. Depending on what the opposition prefers. What prefers? It will be. Let me see what else. See, there's more to this. Here we go. It will be the Rational Male, Roll Tomasi, Justin Waller, Michael Sartain, and Andrew Wilson, Paleo Crystal Con, on the red pill side. Let's put the two ideas to the test through debate. Don't back out now. And you know what? I'm just going to go repost this bad boy right now. So you all know, there you go. The challenge has been issued. And I don't care if any of these chicks bottle out or they want to be a part of it. Any of these guys bottle out or they want to be a part of it, somebody else wants to, that's fine too. But if you want to have that debate, if you want to have that discussion, if you want me to put you on the spot and say you don't know jack shit about the red pill, come to Miami. Let's do this. You want to go see, you want to meet God? I've got nothing better to do. Let's go. Come on. Come on, put your money where your mouth is, because I will tell you this right now is these guys lack conviction. I don't. I'll show up there and I will run the table. I will table you in the first 30 minutes. Trust me. Take that to the fucking bank. I will table you in the first 30 minutes. If you know what tabling is, bravo. Seriously. You will have nothing left in the first 30 minutes because you don't know what you're talking about. None of these people do. And they know that they don't have anything. They know that they don't know what they're talking about. It's easy to talk shit online. Easy to talk shit. Like that body count song, Ice-T, like talk shit, get shot. Yeah. Because people think they get too fucking comfortable online. Come to Miami, sit across the table, and I will work you. And Andrew Wilson will work you. And Justin Waller, Lila Rose, will work you. Come on. Put your money where your mouth is. If you believe in your ideology and you believe in your religion and your God and your Bible and your whatever version of it is, if you are that dedicated and that convicted that you're going to talk shit online, if you're going to talk shit like that and say, oh, these red pill influencers, okay, fine, back it up. Come to Miami, sit across the table. Until you do, you're a pussy. You're a coward. So here's the challenge. Myron's already ready to go with this. Now, I know that Brian from whatever podcast wanted to do this. Honestly, okay, but I think Fresh and Fit's a much bigger platform. So come on out. Let's do it. You want some? You want a piece? Let's go. But I guarantee. Now, here's the thing. I can't really put a poll up of this on the. Maybe I could. I can't really poll this, guys, but from my chat, if anybody wants a piece, man, come on. What do you got? Approach anxiety and one-itis are counterproductive to male strategy, but why are men prone to it? Good question. Hold that thought. I will come right back to that. I'm not going to delete that one. Sanchez became a member. Thank you very much. Here you go. All right. We're at war. The birth rate has fallen to the lowest level since World War II. Would you like me to show you stats to show you how low it's fallen and not just now? How do you think they'll remedy that? Import more people? How long before it will be publicly addressed? It's already being publicly addressed. It's being publicly addressed in the social conservative side of things. As I said before, the narrative for this year, for the 2024 election cycle, will be geopolitical topics and socio-conservative topics, whatever, right? That's where I come in. basically it's going to be this. It's going to be Tradcons versus the red pill, because the red pill are those evil degenerates that are because it's a movement, and it's those red pill incel guys. They were already tilling the fields with stupid ass contrived, surveys and data sets and all this other crap. I'm looking at you, Alex from Date Psych. It's all bullshit, and it's bullshit. Go do another. You know what? It was funny. He was doing some poll, who knows? He didn't want to put this poll on Twitter, but he did do it on I think it was Google Docs or some shit like that to make it look like it's more legit than Twitter. Oh, who's the best looking guy in the manosphere? Who's who has the deepest voice? Who sounds the most manly? That's the guy we should be talking. We should talk to a guy who sounds like Gary Owens from KFI AM 740 KFI. You should have a deep, deep voice like Sam Bada. That's my best Sam Bada. Hi, let me in a world underwater. Kevin Costner, water world. No, I was gonna say is that he does this. Basically he's kind of screwed himself because Alex from Date Psych has decided that he's going to be the high school yearbook of the red pill or the high school newspaper. Like who's the best couple at the homecoming dance? Is it Rolo or is it Ryan? Who's going to go with who's going to be prom king? Dude, really, no one takes you seriously. And it doesn't matter how much you type and what your doctoral thesis that you put as a response, again, which I totally 100% expect. And so it was funny as I was looking at that, and I thought I was polling pretty good for a while there. I thought I was going to be the hottest dude in the red pill sphere, the homecoming dance. But I think it was Ryan Stone who said, "What's he going to do next? We're going to who has the biggest dick? Let's measure cocks or something." I wouldn't put it past the guy. So it was funny. You know what? I'm going to tell you something really quickly here, Mark. Not to to dismiss your question here, but the birth rates have been below replacement level in the United States since the mid 70s. Yes, since the mid 70s, below fertility rate, below replacement rate, I guess is what I should say. They have been since 1977, I think, is where I saw it dipped. It come back up just a little bit and then it dropped off again. It was right after what? Hormonal birth control and all of the divorces that were, ensued that came after that. And then, of course, not to go all Andrew Wilson on you, but then, of course, it was no fault divorce. Yeah, they did have an influence on it, but I don't think that's the only thing. But we've been below replacement rate fertility since the mid 70s. So the time to talk about this was probably the mid 80s, not the 21st century. How long before it's publicly addressed? I see Candace Owens talking about it. It's being publicly addressed quite a bit. Davy Jones from the Monkees. The crisis of men just seems like there's not good enough men for women to settle for after the party. You are correct. Hearing women 30 plus, they seem to see more men, but still only have interest in the top. Sorry, I'm trying to read around the camera. Interest in the top, even if they're in the middle. Yes. Okay. So what you're describing, thank you for your, thank you for your $20 super chat, which deserves an answer. It's what I say when I'm talking to some of the girls who work for Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad's Kiyosaki's company, right? I've talked to women who are in that organization and they all have the same question. Rolo, where am I going to find a guy? How come I can't find a good dude? And the problem is they've become the men that they want to marry. They don't need a man. They want a man. It was exactly what I was trying to describe. And now I can finally talk about this. I was going to describe to Dr. Phil when I was on the Dr. Phil show last year. And he actually shot it before that. But I was trying to explain to these guys, to the people and the audience there, and they just simply were they're just bewildered by what I was saying. And you've heard me say this. You've heard this on Fresh and Fit. You've heard it on whatever. You probably heard Pearl say this. You probably heard Andrew Andrew Tate say this, whoever else say this, is that average women don't want average men. Men have become what? Superfluous. Surprised I have to actually give that definition to, like, the dictionary definition to a guy like Dr. Phil. But that's what I had to do. And the reason why I say that men are superfluous is not because I actually think that they are. It's because that's the attitude that we have in a gynocentric social order that makes men disposable or doesn't really care about anything that has to do with men. We only care about the female in a gynocentric social order. That's why I made the point of, before I started calling it gynocentrism, I called it the feminine imperative. Like, whatever suits the experience, the life experience of the feminine, of females, of women, is the operative. It's the primary. It's the prime directive. It's female primacy is what it is. Gynocentrism sounds a whole lot better. It rolls off the tongue quicker. But the idea is this: is that the female experience should be define the universal experience, and as a result of that, women don't need men anymore. They want men, which is making men superfluous. They're nice to have around, but we don't really need them. Okay, well, what men do they want? Well, they want guys that look like, what's his name? Alan Richmond from Reacher. They want Reacher. Now they do, anyways. They want Jason Momoa. They want Justin Waller. They want because those are anything anything less than the best is settling. And they don't have to settle. And even if they do have to settle, and even if, like, we say, oh, these women are delusional, let's go to the female delusion calculator and see just how rare an animal Rollo Tomassi is, or Mike Sartain is, or Justin Waller is, or Adam Thosnick is. I've done it with him too. And then we find out just, what percentage of the population I am, or Adam Sosnick is, or Mike is, or whatever, right? And we're pretty rare fucking animals. But even average women, let's say, he won't do. He's not enough. He's not. I'm not 6 foot tall. Sorry, I'm only 5'11". I'm fucked. I'm screwed. I'm only 5'11". Right? I'm not 6'2" like Justin Waller. But you know what? Justin Waller's not as tall as George Gammon. George Gammon's got like 6'4", 6'5". Oh, he's screwed. No, it's only I got to get with an NBA player who's 7 foot tall, right? But it's this idea, it's this pervasive idea that women deserve the best of the best, and they don't need men. They want men, and the type of men they want is the upper echelon of men, the elite level men. And as a result, they screw themselves because they wait because there's a gynocentric social order and a female society that tells them that they should never settle for anything other than the best of the best of the best. Ergo, average women don't want to get with average men. Simple as that. And that's ends up screwing women in the end. You want to know why we keep harping on this and people keep getting this wrong, so I'm going to get it right for you one more time. I've even heard Jordan fucking Peterson say this. Oh, 30, 80, 50, 60, 70% of men or women are going to be single and childless by the time they're 44 in 2030. That's not what the Morgan Stanley research says, but everybody, it's like playing the fucking telephone game with these people. No, it says in the Morgan Stanley research of 2018, by the way, which is called Rise of the She Economy, that 42 to 45%, I think maybe it's gone up just a touch now, 42 to 45% of prime working age women, which means between the ages of like 22 and 44, I think, or 25 and 44, will be single. It doesn't say childless. It just says single. It doesn't say, oh, they're going to be destitute and looking for child care. And no, it doesn't say anything like that. It just says single. They're going to be working. That's why Morgan Stanley cared about it, because that's going to help with their prognostications, right? It's going to help their forecasts so that businesses will know who to cater to and what demographics to go after, and, invest in Chewy and cryogenic freezing of ovums, right? Whatever, how to invest for the next, 6-7 years, right? That's essentially what the forecast was from Morgan Stanley. Says nothing whatsoever about childlessness, although they probably will be. I mean, you could sort of make that correlation, I suppose, but it doesn't say anything about that. In fact, I can go read it for you right now. Hell, just go look it up. Morgan Stanley, Rise of the She Economy. It's from 2018. Not hard to find. Been quoting it since the Pat Campbell days. Get it right. Tell them the whole truth or don't tell it at all. Superfluous. Everybody know, is that a $10 word? Is that like something like you don't understand? Like, do you know what superfluous is? Nice to have around, nice to have it, but not necessarily necessary. Sending my support. Thank you very much, Kyle, who is in a great band called was it Casting Crowns? No. I played your Common Crown. A Common Crown. Go check them out. Good stuff. Which way is the beach? That way. Boy, he's 55. I can't believe it. Bet you $100 that Chase has mommy issues. Chase? You mean that Chase? You'd probably be right. Thank you. I would take your bet, except that was only $2 super chat. So. Rolo, in today's modern Western relationship, you have two types. Egalitarian, aka 50-50, and gynocentric, aka she is the pilot and you are the flight attendant. Treat her like a celebrity and she'll treat you like a fan. Yeah. Actually, there's many different types, but those are probably the two most common for sure. And I would argue that egalitarian 50-50 partnership is exactly the same as number two, gynocentric. But it's okay. I digress. Back in high school, girls were really mean to me and almost insulting me. Were those shit tests? No, they were just being bitches. They were just being common bitches, probably. The only time, well, actually, no, they weren't shit tests, especially in high school. Well, they were mean to me. They gave me insults and stuff. Was that a shit test? No, they're just bitches. Does that answer your question? The reason I say that is because shit tests they have a purpose. There's a direction. There's a directive to them. So shit tests are meant to determine two things. One of two things anyways. Is he really who he says he is? Those shit tests are the active shit tests. Like if you meet a girl in the bar, or if you met her for the first time and you have this kind of banter back and forth where you're playing with her and you're playing with her, that's a shit test. Garrett, oh my God. I'm glad Ryan flaked. Yes, Ryan, what the fuck was that guy's last name? From Pillow Talk, bottled out of Access Vegas. You are more than welcome, Garrett. Thank you for coming on the show too. Garrett Gaines, everybody, Garrett Gaines. Thank you. Garrett does street interviews and apparently AVN Expo interviews as well. He's pretty good at. Also known as Baby Hercules. He got that name from a stripper porn star at the convention. Well done. We broke your AVN cherry. I got mine broken last year, so just saying, at the tender age of 54. Last but not least, I want to get into this real quick because this is really good, Wilcox. Thank you very much. Approach anxiety and one-itis are counterproductive to male strategy, but yet why are men prone to it? Good question. There is an evolutionary reason for this. You gave me 5 pounds. I'm going to give you 100-pound answer here because I haven't covered this in a while. Approach anxiety is hardwired into men's brains. And the reason for that is because there's a lot riding on a successful approach. Okay. So one of the reasons why you'll see like poems and stories and romantic comedy plots and everything else revolve around men's hesitation to want to actually talk to a woman. The reason why those are popular narratives is because it's actually something that's like part of the male psyche. If you've ever read Cyrano de Bergerac, okay, if you're not familiar with Cyrano de Bergerac, he was this guy with a huge schnoz, right? He's a big dude. He's not really the best looking guy in the world. So what he would do is he was very good at poetry. He was very good at game, but he just had a big nose, right? And so he would get his friend to go and woo the women that he wanted to get with, and he would like tell them what to say. And this was it's a fictional story, right? It's Cyrano de Bergerac, right? And that was really probably anytime we talk about like approach anxiety, I always bring up Cyrano because it's it relates to the fundamental want to like be able to express yourself as a guy, but like understand that there's got to be some sort of buffer between you and that chick. Today, the buffer is this. It's your cell phone. Today, the buffer is chatting. Today, the buffer is Tinder. Today, the buffer is Instagram. So you don't need your friend to speak on your behalf. You can just like make yourself, it's all perception online now anyways. And so it's really kind of down to your game being like whatever you can type on a screen, understandable. But it's the back and forth versus what do you look like? And so a lot of guys don't understand like what their real quality is and what they really, if they're a really good looking guy, right? A guy like Justin Waller, a guy like Alan Richson, a guy like Jason Momoa, guys who are like the top echelon of like good looking dudes. Like they're built, they have symmetrical face, they've got, jawline, they've got, V taper, they've got maybe six pack abs. Plus they also have a lot of money. Plus they're really funny because, they're like the ultimate total package. Those guys, as long as they are consistently rewarded with women's interest in them, then they understand that they are pretty good looking and they can leverage that. Most men never realize that. They never realize the fact that they are either good looking or they're just simply not good looking. Like, I love it when I see these guys who talk about these stats about how men overestimate their sex appeal and women underestimate their sex appeal. No, they don't. Men understand they're ugly as shit. And they have to find, that's why 80% of guys are deemed unattractive. And especially today, I think men have kind of always known this. They've always known about the 80-20 rule, but they have never had it like sort of presented to them in black and white or have it like right in their face all the time. They haven't had the data sets to prove what their hunch was, right? And so I think we've always known this, but we're just more aware of the 80-20 rule. Now, what's the 80-20 rule? It's not 80% of guys are getting, or 20% of guys are fucking 80% of women, and 80% of women want to fuck 20. No. 80-20 is this. 80% of men are deemed or estimated or opinionized or whatever the fuck you want to call it, are estimated to be unattractive by women. That's all it says. It's not about who's fucking who or anything like that. It's based on that one statistic. From Dr. David Buss, from from Steve Stewart Williams, from Rob Henderson, some very notable voices in evolutionary psychology will tell you exactly the same thing they have done. That's where I'm quoting the studies from, David Buss in this case, and Steve Stewart Williams. They know this. 80% of men are deemed unattractive. That doesn't mean that the remaining 20% are attractive. It just means they're not unattractive. It's not like, 80% of those guys I'd fucking 20% I would, right? No, that's not what it's saying. It's just saying 80% of men are unattractive. That leaves 20%. There's your 80-20 rule right there. Don't embellish it. Stop. Don't go and add anything else to it. No, that means that 20% of women are fucking 20% of guys, and that means that 10% of this and 40% of the ameliorated average is stop. Just fucking stop. 80% of men are deemed unattractive. That's all you need to know. That's more than enough. 20% of guys are maybe they'll do. They're maybes. They're not, those guys are hot. No, they're maybes. He's attractive enough for me to want to like talk to the guy or go out to have whatever the steakhouse was in the first video, right? I might go rent a Lamborghini and maybe you'll be all right. They have to have that remaining 20% probably has to have some sort of value added that goes along with that. And that goes back to hypergamy, and I could talk about that till the cows come home. But anyways, the 20% doesn't necessarily mean that those are attractive men. It just means that they might do. Of that 20%, 4.5% of men are attractive enough that women would initiate something. They'd write their phone number on a menu ticket and give it to Justin Waller at a Mexican restaurant. Seen that happen because he's in the 4.5%. Those are the guys who don't have to worry about approach anxiety. Everyone else does. So all the rest of it. So don't think that you're special or you're paralyzed with fear, because in our ancestral past, approach anxiety was a very real thing. And in fact, you are as a man, a human male, you are the descendant of a man who had approach anxiety and successfully got around it enough to reproduce. Congratulations. Bravo. You're a success story. Well, your father and your grandfather were. They got over that fear. They bit the bullet. They went out there and they asked Susie out to the homecoming dance. Bravo. You exist. What are you going to do now? The reason why you have that in your psyche, your evolved mental firmware, is because you think about all the things that could go wrong. And so there's always going to be a hesitation. Now, remember that in our ancestral past, in our hunter-gatherer days, we might have lived in monkey troops, in groups or tribes of anywhere between 100 and 150 individuals. At least that's the popular notion anyways. So of the 100 and let's just say, let's take it on the top end, 150. Of the 150 people that are in your tribe on the sub-Saharan African savannas of Pleistocene, not Plasticine era, how many of those in your tribe are female? Well, we have. Okay. Now we've narrowed it down to 75 individuals. Of that 75 individuals, how many of them are reproductive age? Like there's not a grandmother. They're not already taken. They're not adults. They are, say, back in the day, they were somewhere in their mid-teens to early 20s. And maybe then it was earlier. But how many of those are eligible females who are single and unattached and don't have a warrior to wife them up? Of the 75, let's narrow it down to maybe there's, just round it off. Let's say there's maybe 20, maybe 10, 20. Let's make it let's blow it out a little bit more. Let's just say there's 20. So of the 20 girls that you could get with, if you blew your approach, if you blew your chance, girls talk, right? Oh, if that one girl rejects you, the odds are the other girls are going to reject you too, because of what's known as mate choice copying. Mate choice copying, one of the things, like Michael Sartain talks about mate choice copying all the time. What he hardly ever talks about is the bad side of that. Because mate choice copying, it means that, oh, if this guy's been accepted, then a guy who's similar to this guy will be accepted too. Mate choice copying. I want a guy like him. The problem is it also works in reverse. So if women reject that one guy, they're going to reject other guys that are sort of like that. And so what happens is this guy's a creep, and I'm going to tell all my girlfriends he's a creep. And guys who do the things that he does makes them, they don't even have to be that guy. They makes them creepy. So what happens is that one guy blows his shot at like an approach. He's creepy. He's deemed creepy. The one girl he was going after tells all her friends, well, now there's only 20 because you're in the tribal clutch of 20 eligible females. And I'm being very generous here. And then now anybody who acts like him, talks like him, is awkward like him, doesn't get selected. So what happens? All the guys who watch him, crash and burn, they don't want to do that either. Now so what happens is then it limits like memes, it limits behaviors, it limits ways of how to run game when you're on hunter-gatherer era and the Pleistocene, right? So you learn really quick. Now, the other thing is this is, of those 20, how many have jealous brothers? How many of them have fathers that will beat your ass into the ground if they don't approve of you? You can limit it down to maybe 10. You got brothers, you got kin altruism. You've got it's mate guarding, but it's not really mate guarding. It's like a father who has like female children, offspring. There is a defensive protectiveness, an innate protectiveness amongst human male fathers, right? So, he's going to meet you outside with a shotgun and it's homecoming dance, right? That kind of thing. We laugh at that, but it's that laugh has a kernel of truth to it because there's that protectiveness. It's like, oh, her dad doesn't like. That's why you used to ask for. There was a formality to it. You would ask for a woman's hand in marriage. There's a reason for that. The man's father had to approve of you. And you know why? Not because he owned her, which maybe he did, but it was more because if there was a child that was produced between his daughter and that young man, now you're blending tribes. Now you're blending his family with your family. And maybe you don't want to be associated with that. Your daughter might go, but I love him. He's so hot. He looks like Jason Momoa on the Pleistocene. Okay, yeah, she thinks that, but she's not old enough and mature enough to make those decisions. That's why we say, and that's why we still do an age of consent today. Age of consent exists because of approach anxiety. But that's where it comes from. Because guys who were more sketchy and a little bit more, hesitant, or watched and learned and figured to check out, learn game, learn to be funny, learn how to show off. That's what got you. Want to know why? Like guys always say, is it CGA? Like Coach Greg Adams talks about, triple monkey backflips, right? Or dancing monkey game. We call that simping. But the thing is your want as a guy to perform for women, when you're 10 years old or 5 years old, or 8 years old, 9, 10, and you ride wheelies down the street to get Susie's attention. That's not something you go, hey, you better do that. So you better simp to Susie or she's not going to like you. No, it's natural. The guy's like, hey, look at me. Fuck yeah. I'm riding wheelies. Right? Break my arm. Doesn't matter. I'm risking death. I'm risking physical injury. So Susie will watch me as I'm, she's walking home from school with her books. Right. That's innate. That is also, by the way, a means showing off, like doing something dangerous, doing, hey, look at me kind of thing, trying to get female attention is a means of buffering approach anxiety. Because if you do something that's clever and you do something that's funny or you do something that's risky or you do something, you're basically, in that case, it would be like performing physical prowess, right? Riding a wheelie down the street. Hey, check it out. Look, hey, I can turn the wheel too. Because if I do, I'm going to go end over. I'm going to end over. Yeah, that's where it comes from. Showing off like boys showing off to girls. That's where it comes from. Because rather than going up to Susie and going, hey, will you be my girlfriend? I really like you. Can I carry your books home? Instead of doing that, you roll down, Johnny rolls down the street doing wheelies. Well, Susie's going to look at him instead of Timmy, who's like a chump and carrying books. Basically. Perfect. Since I started to learn red pill lessons, I was able to get a girlfriend. Rock on. Wait, there you go. Somehow I am being pulled back into the matrix and one-itis. Any thoughts on how to resist it? Yes. Date non-exclusively. Spin more plates, my friend. Spin more plates. Spinning plates, by the way, just to sort of give you a preview of hopefully things to come in the debate or in the conversation or the heated debate that we will have with Tradcons will most likely center on the third iron rule of Tomasi, right? Most likely. Or it'll be about plate spinning because that got mentioned. These red pill guys who are talking about plate spinning, they're all about hedonism and getting their notch count up and fucking anything on two legs. No, that's not what it's about. And you would know that if you read the fucking book. What book? The book that's been out for 10 plus years. That book. The one you supposedly understand, you have been following all these red pill guys since 2015. Well, if you don't know what plate spinning is, then you don't know what the red pill is, brother man. But yeah, that's what it is, right? You want not to get wrapped up in one-itis. Spin more plates. Date non-exclusively. When you do that, you are dating like an adult. You're dating that's what adult women and adult men ought to do. Date non-exclusively. I'm not saying fuck every guy that you date, ladies, or fuck every woman that you're with, guys, but date non-exclusively to the point where you go, okay, well, this chick, I'm checking her out. I'm checking this other one out. Why would you test drive just one fucking car and go, oh, looks like I'm done. I'm just going with this car. Have you tried any others? No. How do you know you won't like someone better? I don't. I'm just going to get this one car. I'm committed to this car because the Lord on heaven above wants me to just stick with one car, just like it as it is, and so shall it ever be. It's stupid. Absolutely stupid. You want I'm saying it's an insurance policy, but you want to at least to have some sort of from a rational, reasonable perspective, you don't want to catch like feelings. You don't want to be, you don't want to over invest. Let's just say that, because that's really what the soulmate is. And that's really what that's one of the reasons I threw Mike Sartain's thing on there. The very first chapter in my first book is there is no one. People will hate me for that too. There is no one. There are some good ones and there are some bad ones, but there is no one. That is the soulmate myth. Soulmate myth is a myth that has been perpetuated to reinforce socially enforced monogamy. That's what it is. It's a meme. It's a belief set. It's there's only one woman and one man, and there's only one for you on the whole planet, and you're the one, and how am I supposed to live without you? Like, it's the basis of every goddamn Michael Bolton song has ever written. How am I supposed to live without you? You know what happens when guys take that to heart? They can't live without her, and they self-delete. Yeah, because they think it's the real deal. They are over-invested, and that's what it comes down to. You know how you don't over-invest? You date non-exclusively. What is he telling us? Is he telling us to have sex with wanton sex, meaningless sex? No. I'm saying protect your fucking self. Date non-exclusively. Date like a goddamn adult. Rah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I don't have time for you. Thanks, Rollo. I still get women behaving like absolute biatches towards me. How do I deal with it? Tell them to fuck off? Or is it something about me? I have money and muscles, looks, but I am still working on game. Well, then what that says to me is that you have a problem with congruency. Rollo, what is congruency? I gave you 150 czar bucks. I don't know what those are. If you are objectively good looking, if you are, trying to see how I can put this. If you're objectively good looking, you have money in the bank. You've got money, muscles, and game. Those are the trifecta, right? If game is the one that's screwing you, then that's the one you got to work on, right? By the way, all of those are symbiotic. All of those are they have synergy. I hate to use that term. Synergistic. Game, muscles, and look. Game, muscles, money, looks. They all ping off the other one, right? If one of those is deficient, well, at least you know that, right? Game is nothing more than social skills that you haven't learned yet. And by the way, game is about relationships. It doesn't have to necessarily be about like picking up girls. It's also like, how do you interact with guys too? And I don't mean like you're gay or anything like that. I'm just saying like, how do I find a tribe? How do I deal? I can't tell when a guy is bullying me or he's hazing me or he's just trying to, rib me and fuck with me. Right. Those guys, usually those are the more autistic guys just because they don't read social cues. I'm not saying it again. I use the term autistic all the time, by the way. That's not meant as like a dig or a poke or anything like that. I mean that in the most clinical sense. I understand functional autism. I get it. I understand why guys have a really tough time reading social cues. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you are like in some way like functionally autistic. It just means that you haven't had, or it might anyways, mean that you don't have the experience to have learned how to read that particular social cue. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just mentioning something about like, oh, the girl made fun of me in high school. Yeah, well, probably because you didn't learn social cues that you probably should have learned just by experience. And you have to learn those by doing. You can't go, where's the book? Here, I'm going to read Rollo's book. How do I learn social cues, Rollo? Where's the social cues 101? How do I learn that? You don't. You go out and you do it. That you learn by doing. That's how you do it. Still working on game. Good. The reason why you're confused right now is because there's an inconsistency or there's incongruence between your behaviors and the way you look and your appearance and your outward projection, I guess. And I don't mean this in woo-woo magical projection. I mean like the presence and the image that you're presenting is not incongruous with your game skills. So what happens is when women see you and if they see a good looking dude, they expect that guy who's tall. If they see Jack Reacher, women have an expectation of what his voice is going to sound like, what his game is going to be like. He loves his mama. He likes apple pie. He has a dog. He has a golden retriever or a lab that likes to go hunting and fishing with him, and bass fishing, of course. And he's like, there's all of this stuff just like machine guns into women's expectations. And when a guy who looks like Jack Reacher starts going, "Hi, how you doing?" like that, that's incongruous. I was expecting alpha male Republican ass kicking Jack Reacher. What the fuck is this? It's the incongruence. So if the guy acts really fey and he looks like could kick ass, women go, that's really off-putting. I'm using that as an extreme example. Now, back that off to what your conditions are right now. And maybe what you're presenting is not what those women are expecting when they talk to you, and they have to actually sort of like get into your psychology and get into your head. So yes, keep going with your game. Keep going with learning social skills. That's what game is. Social skills. You just got to keep doing it. Persistence. Persistence is all. Destiny is all. Well, not that destiny. I have Asperger syndrome. Can I join MOA or your Patreon? You can join my Patreon. I can mask myself well. 130 IQ. Great. Symmetry. Symmetry. I think you can even join. You can join MOA. I'm pretty sure. There's no limitations for that. You can just, but please consider joining my Patreon group. The only exclusions that Mike or myself make for any of our groups is that you're not cluster B. You're not a cluster B personality. And what is that? That means you have BPD, not bipolar, borderline personality disorder, NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, HPD, histrionic personality disorder, or antisocial personality disorder. Those are the cluster B disorders. As long as you're not a cluster B personality, you can join any of them. Trust me, if I was limiting guys that had who were on the spectrum, I wouldn't have anybody to talk to. Let's see. Does dark humor work on women? Depends on the chick, man. Goth girls. Oh yeah. Game on. Depends on the girl. I asked Google Bard for the latest statistics on male sexlessness, and it replied I needed to use inclusive, less derogatory terms, but use male sexual dysfunction instead. So it's political. Absolutely, it's political. Oh, by the way, so you may have noticed this. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But occasionally, and I need to get back to not using this so much, but Adobe Photoshop, which I have used since Adobe Photoshop 3.0 in the early 90s, like 93, 94. So I am like a expert. I could probably teach classes on Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop has now included generative AI. So you can go and you can get an image, and you can complete that image just by having it complete about. You don't even have to put search terms. It'll just figure out what you want to extend this image, right? That's exactly what I did with today's where'd it go? With today's thumbnail. I didn't even put text on it. I thought this was so perfect, right? So this right here, from the apple pie over, from where the end of her mitts. So, by the way, the image itself was already generated. I forget who gave this to me. It might have been Nuke gave this to me. And then I extended it over. And by the way, all I did to extend that image is I just did a selection around the area that I wanted to go, and AI fills in the rest. So AI filled in pretty much everything that's halfway over all the way to the right of this. And then the oven was empty, or had another pie inside there. And the oven was empty. And so I'm like, oh, let's put some red pills in there, because I want to, you're cooking some red pills. It's as American as apple pie, right? So that was the sort of the shtick for that whole thing. However, all of that was generated by the generative fill feature in the new Adobe Photoshop. So get used to AI. You're going to be using it pretty much in everything now. However, when I use it to fill out the backgrounds of the girls' pictures that I put into every single thumbnail I do for Access Vegas, it chokes and it won't do it. Like if it finds big ass titties in the main image, it'll say this is against our policies. Like we can't. So I have to like select it, grab each one like chunk by chunk instead of like just going to doing one big mass background. I have to go and select this little area, let it do that, then select the next area and do that. Because if it takes the whole thing and it sees titties and cooters, it won't do it. So yeah, it's down to even Adobe Photoshop right now. So it was funny as hell when I did. I'm like, how come I can't get this? How come it's only titties? What kind of, like, I was expecting like 4 tits or something. Like it was going to generate like the triple breasted whore of whatever it is. I was expecting that. I want triple. I want 3 titties. What the hell? How come I can't get that in Photoshop? Any tips on keeping frame with a much younger girl? Glad you asked. We're going to talk about that. She is a sheltered brat I have been vetting for 8 months. Okay, you're already overcommitted. Eject. I can tell you, here's your advice. Here's your advice. Get out. 8 months, dude. You should have, like, there's no earthly reason for any guy. I don't know how old you are, but I don't even care. There's no earthly reason for any guy to be spending that much time vetting a girl for what? To get with her? To bang her? To marry her? Like, what's your end game, bro? Brah. 8 months? Jesus, man. Should have got off the pot after like 1. Thank you very much. Jose Sanchez, a longtime supporter and Patreon. Appreciate the, kind of sound like Vlad the Impaler. Appreciate the community. Looking to rebuild my life, starting with IG. Would love to connect with more of y'all. Will follow back the real Jose Sanchez. Good. Okay, thank you very much for that. Jose, I got one suggestion for you since you were kind enough to fork over $99. Do consider joining MOA. Do consider joining and/or my Patreon group. I do a Patreon group once a month. I'm trying to push it to twice a month, but we'll see because I am going to be semi-moving to Vegas pretty soon. That where are we at? Are we at the top of the hour now? Okay, I'll mention that here in a second. But I have a private Zoom call that I do for 2 hours once a month right now. I limit it to 25 guys. We are at 10 guys right now. So do get in. It's at the $200 level. So for $200, you get 2 hours. And it's like whatever you want to talk about, man. It is probably that is probably the cheapest thing going too, as far as I can tell. But do consider that. It's on my Patreon. If you're where's Rolo's Patreon? All you got to do, you lazy fucks, is press the show more in the description there, and then you'll see where my Patreon address is, and you can go. It's just basically the Patreon, the Rational Mail. And wait a minute, hold it. There we go. Thank you, PP. Much appreciated. The guy so consistent, he gets his own sound drop. Thank you, PP. I appreciate you. Oh, would you? Okay, let's give you some updates. Okay, update time. What are we at? We're at an hour and a half, close to it. Okay, update number 1. First off, Myron has put out the call and the challenge. If anybody wants to go head to head with myself and wants to go head to head with me, Justin Waller, Andrew Wilson, assuming he agrees. I think he probably will. I saw Rachel in the chat. She's probably already passed the message on. Or Mike Sartain. We're trying to work together to get a sort of a summit or some kind of debate, let's just say, between the quote unquote those red pill guys and trad thoughts, tradcons, tradspergs, conservatispergs, whatever the conservative side of things is, because that's really where we're going. Why are we doing this? Well, let's rewind the tape a little bit. I don't have the little sound drop for that. Somebody give me that sound drop. So let's rewind the tape a little bit. Anybody see the interview, such as it was, between Destiny and Ben Shapiro on Lex Fridman? Anyone? Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen that. You probably have, because about 4.5 million people have. That's how many views it got inside of a week. That is a very popular topic, whatever it is that they were talking about. They talked about red pill just for a brief and shining moment. But it was mostly geopolitical stuff, and I'm just going to throw it out there right now, and God damn it, I hate you, Lex Friedman, for making me agree with Nick Fuentes. Nick did his breakdown, and he did his thing, and I don't like Nick Fuentes. I don't think that's any fucking secret, okay? But God damn it, Lex, you made me like Nick for a brief moment, because you're 100% right when you say that Destiny was utterly outclassed by Ben Shapiro. And maybe it was the questions, and maybe it was the way that the format was set up, but there was a lot of filibustering going on the part of Destiny. And when Destiny doesn't know something, or he's unprepared for something, and he can't get to his cell phone or his tablet or whatever the fuck he's using to get fed information from his very elaborate, very vast user group base, he doesn't know what to do with himself. And I would argue that Destiny simply doesn't have I think a lot of people think of him as being this very very good debater. I don't think he's a good debater whatsoever. I think that he relies too much on his cell phone. He doesn't know the shit. And if he doesn't, he goes down and he starts looking. You'll see him do it he's done it on the shows that I was on with him. He does it with Fresh and Fit all the time. He did it with Mike Sartain. Destiny isn't Destiny. He is like a hive mind. And when you cut him off from that, like he was on Lex Friedman's show, you could say, did he not take his Vivanase today? Is he not hitting on all 8 cylinders? What the fuck happened to him? Right. I think people were expecting more from him, and it took goddamn Nick Fuentes to point the shit out. Right. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm listening to this, and only on Lex Friedman does this happen. Right. You already know what Nick's feelings are about, let's just say, Ben Shapiro, for obvious reasons, right? Yarmulke, Ben Shapiro. And we already know that he hates Destiny. But who does he hate more? And I'm going to tell you this, man. It's like he hates Destiny more than he hates Yarmulke Shapiro, which is saying something. That's when I'm like, man, this is a paradigm shift right here. But so anyways, that's very popular. So what happens? It's 4.5 million views right now. At least it was last I checked. And then now, more recently, Lex Friedman has put out a call or a poll for people to answer, like to give him names to have a debate over Palestine versus Israel or something like that. And like, that's out of my wheelhouse. I don't give 2 flying fucks about that, but I am very curious about why that's a topic. Like, why is that something that these guys want to dig into? Of course, Destiny's name is on one side of it. Shapiro's probably on the other side, but he's trying to get like all these these influencers and personalities so that they have like this bigger collective debate. Well, that's because 2 things are going, like the two-prong narrative of 2024 is going to be geopolitical topics just like this, and socio-political topics just like the red pill versus the Tradcons. That's why Brian from Whatever Podcast is gung-ho about this. So is Myron. Myron's like way more motivated than I thought he would be. And that's why we put out this call. So if you want to put your money where your mouth is, and you really back up your convictions, you really think you know the red pill as much as you do, then you got no excuse not to say, yes, I'm going to meet you in Miami. I'll sit across the table from you and I will work you. Please come on down. That's number 1. Number 2 is this. Thank you very much, by the way, my Twitter following. I put out the call. I was looking for, I've been looking for a place to rent in Las Vegas for probably last month. And it finally came time to shit or get off the pot. And so I started checking out some of these properties and everything like that. And let me tell you something, it would be easier to apply to Harvard than to get past these stupid agencies and because everything is done like on the fly or by AI or something like that. Like everything's done on an app now. I haven't had to rent in a very long time. I own this place, right? I haven't had to rent a place. I don't want to own just yet in Vegas. I probably could, but I would rather I want to see how things go before I like put that level of commit. I'm not going to commit. But so I did find a place. Thank you very much. So I finally found a place, but All you guys are like ruthless, man. They're like, "Oh, Rollo Tomasi, I thought you were a multimillionaire, man. You should just go down there and just buy anything, buy up the store." You guys think I'm way more paid than I am. And then on top of that, I do own my house right here. This is what I own. I just wanted to rent. And they're like, "Well, you're just trying to find something. You stop being so cheap." I'm like, cheap, man. It was like $2,000 a month. I thought that was pretty good. And I found a pretty decent place. So I will be spending a lot more time in Vegas because I'm going to be doing more stuff in Vegas. Obviously, Access Vegas is my number one top priority, but I'm also going to be working with Miguel and Charlie from Cultivate Crypto and Dollar Cost Crypto, obviously. I haven't signed any contracts yet, but there is an outfit in Las Vegas right now called Viewit, VEUIT. I think I mentioned this on the last show, VEUIT.com. It is not only is it a podcast studio of similar size to Valuetainment. I mean, it could definitely give Valuetainment a run for its money, but they have a really professional outfit. But not only that, they have a podcast studio, but they're also a contender as a competitor to Rumble, and by default YouTube as well. But they're essentially trying to create a kind of a Rumble-ish kind of server type thing, a new platform more or less, and it's based on blockchain. So you own your material outright, and you also can't be kicked. So they can't kick you off because it's almost like a Discord server, and it's like based on blockchain. I don't know I don't pretend to know the technology all that well, but that's why I want Myron, or excuse me, that's why I want Miguel and Charlie involved in this too. But very good studio. And by the way, one of the principal backers of it, one of the money guys in Viewit is Cuba Gooding Jr. So there's actually serious money behind it. And it could be a competitor to something like Rumble. And I would love to get in on the ground floor. So that was another thing I'll probably be doing. So I'll be doing that. And then last but not least, Ned, my Greyhound, who was viciously, horribly attacked by a Rottweiler back in October, is doing just fine. But he goes into surgery tomorrow morning. So thoughts, prayers, and chicken entrails to the gods are all appreciated. He has to go into surgery tomorrow because they're going to remove the metal plate because his bones have healed so well that they're going to pull the plate out and then they're going to sew him back up all the way. At least that's what they want to do. And because there's the radius and then there's the ulna. And the radius is now there. You can see where the new bone, it was incredible. You can see where the new bone has formed and it has like filled in. I was like, damn, that's crazy. And the ulna is still busted, but it's growing new bone, and it will probably, because it's a smaller and it's kind of a fiddly little bone. It's not weight bearing like the radius is. It's still healing. It'll take a little bit longer to heal that one up, but it's enough where they can pull the plate now and they can seal them back up again. I'm like, thank God. So that's Ned's thing. And so I will probably end up spending a lot more time in Vegas. The house I got has a backyard, so I'll bring the dogs with me as well, and probably bring my wife down as well. So it will be good. Dan, holy mackerel. Hold on, Dan. This Wednesday, 6 figures of divorce-related debt will finally be erased from my life. There you go. You get 3 of those. Gents, please sidestep becoming a statistic like me by doing your homework before pursuing a Tradcon ideal that may not be in your best interests. Marriage, modern marriage today, not the institution. The way we do it now is one of the worst decisions that you can make as a guy right now. I'm not shitting on marriage. I'm just saying the way we do it now. We need marriage reform. How's that? Does that sound better, Tradcons? Get married after we have marriage reform. Until you guys are ready to go down there to the courthouse or march on freaking Washington for marriage reform, you lack conviction. Do you recommend working with a professional or for Asperger's? Yes, always. Or MOA will help with the reading. No, do not think that MOA is going to cure your Asperger's. Do not think. In fact, one of the things, oddly enough, in the very beginning of my book, you know what? I'll even read this to you because people won't believe me if I don't say it. How to read this book. Let's see. Where did it go? What this book is not. Would you like to welcome to Masterpiece Theater by Rollo Tomasi? Let's see. I know I have this. Oh, game is not therapy. Here it is. Okay, so here we go. It's in the first like 2 or 3 pages here. I'll just read you this one paragraph. Ready, children? Game is not therapy. It's not magic, religion, or belief. If you picked up this book because you think learning the social skills game teaches will cure you of your social awkwardness, you're reading this for the wrong reasons. Game will not cure your functional autism or Asperger syndrome. I am not a therapist. I am an analyst. I do private and collective consulting with men, but I do not do counseling or coaching. I analyze situations and report my observations to men. If you are presently diagnosed with some form of autism, or you think you're on the spectrum, this book may help you understand your difficulties in reading social cues and why women respond to you negatively. However, it is not a substitute for the clinical therapy you probably need. I can give you an analysis of your situation, but this book is not the answer to your problems. Thank you very much. There's your answer. It's all right. In The Rational Male, Book 5, The Player's Handbook by Rollo Tomasi. Today's reading selection by... Does that answer your question, Vishal? There you go. Part 2, 1 of 2. Well, thank you for 2. You could have just given me like a $20 super chat and made it 1. Hey, Rollo, I'm 32. I'm fed up with still being a virgin, but I still have a sense that I'd regret it if I don't have my first time with a girl I've invested in. You don't want a prostitute? Should I try to go through with finding a girl to invest in first, or would it be healthier if I break free from this? And if so, how? I think what you're trying to get me to say is go see a hooker. And I'm not going to tell you to do that. So let me give you my philosophy on paying for box. Okay. God, it's stupid as fuck. Poom poom and paying for box is the stupidest shit I've ever heard, by the way. So here's your pithy little quote from Rollo for the day. If you buy a man a whore, you get him laid for a night. If you teach a man game, you get him laid for a lifetime. So why, first, before you start asking me questions like you just asked me, what should I do? Well, I'll be the first one to tell you this, is that there is no such thing as an incel. No man in the 21st century is involuntarily celibate right now. Okay. You're celibate because of exactly what you're saying. You can go see a hooker right now. Hell, if you want the joke again, I'll give you the joke again. Come to Reno Tahoe International Airport. I'll pick you up in the Tacoma, and we'll drive out to Mound House, Nevada, which is just a little bit outside of Carson City, right before you get to Dayton. And I know exactly where it is. I'll take you to the Moonlight Bunny Ranch or the Mustang Bunny Ranch or the Mustang Ranch or any of the Moonlight Ranch, any of those places. I will take you there. You could make sure that you got about $400 or $500 in your wallet. Give me $100 for a finder's fee. And I will 100% guarantee you will not be a virgin when you walk out of the Moonlight Bunny Ranch. Guaranteed. You will lose your V card. 100%. Guaranteed. I guarantee that one. I don't guarantee much, but I do guarantee that. I will teach you brothel game. Here's what you do. Find one girl. Here's the money. Go to the back room. That's all it takes. And you are no longer involuntarily celibate. Congratulations. You're cured. Holy mackerel. You've been cured. But most guys don't want to do that. They'd rather pay a small fortune for some OnlyFans girl that they want to have the girlfriend experience with. And that's what you're really talking about right now. So I want to lose my virginity, but I don't want to lose it to a hooker. Why don't you just I could have saved you $10. That's fine. Good for you. I'm glad you feel that way too. And so what's the solution? Learn game, get in the gym, money, muscles, game, the trifecta, have a frame, read book 1, then read book 5. I think probably I don't give prescriptions, but if I'm going to give you a diagnosis, And a suggestion, read book 1 and then read book 5. Start getting out, make yourself out, make yourself available, get out there in social situations, learn game, learn by doing. That's the best I can give to you right now. Let's see. Give a dog a bone. Okay, I will give Ned a bone on your behalf, my friend. On behalf of Rusty Fuel. Rusty Fuel, thank you. Get those likes up too. Thank you very much. Man, why is it? It's a mystery of the fucking universe that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, well, except for Sam, 4 people hitting me up in the middle of my fucking show that I only do once a week from 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern for about, well, now 3 hours these days. But this is the time everybody suddenly wants to reconnect with Roland Tomasi. Jesus Christ, do you got Miguel, Glenn, Myron, and Aaron, and now Aaron Clary adds his voice to the whole thing. Dude, I'm kind of busy. I got my hands full right now. Thank you. Okay, good. All right. Aaron Clary wants to know if I'm okay. You know what? Let me go through. Let's give them the attention. Aaron Clary wants to know if I'm going to keep my Keurig. No, dude, that's yours, dude. I gave that to you. Let's see. Miguel wants to go on the Danza project because he's in Miami right now. Miguel, if you're watching, I've already put the word into the other Miguel at the Danza project. I haven't heard back because I'm kind of busy right now. As soon as I'm done, I'll be happy to get back in touch with you. Glenn wants to know something. Chase got Mike Foster to join his team for the debate. Oh, fuck yeah, let's go. If they are trying to make the debate be held in Santa Barbara now. No, that ain't going to happen. I'll tell you that right now. Whatever is okay. Myron says this, whatever's trying to get in on this debate, but fuck them. Yeah. Let's see. All right. So that's that. And then Sammy. Thank you, Sammy. Okay. I've covered all the people who are like, this is why I should have put my phone on do not disturb. Hi, Aaron. No, that Keurig is for you. I bought that for you, bro. Keep it, please. All right. Oh, and Nuke. Hi, Nuke. Welcome to the show, Nuke. Welcome up. So anyways, okay. I want to talk about this really quick. I'm going to start. We'll start looking at some of these videos.
It's difficult for people to publicly advocate for the problems of men and boys.
Because victimhood doesn't work for men the way it works for women. We don't feel sorry for men. And rightly so, by the way. Biologically, men are disposable in a way that women aren't, for the obvious reasons. If you have a tribe of...
Okay. Stop right there, Kristen, whatever your crispy name is. This is a guy from Trigonometry. I know the dude. Thank you very much. This guy is probably one of the simpiest dudes I have ever had the displeasure of listening to. I think he wants to be sort of more traditional conservative. This is one of these guys who want, like, one of the things I'm noticing, and maybe you guys are as well, is when these guys come at the red pill, they want to take this moral high ground. First and foremost, they think that, well, I'll just out-moral these guys. We're living the right life. And then they find out that I've been married for 27 years. Then they find out I have a daughter who just got married last year. Then they find out that I take care of my own business. I own what I do, and I do what I own. And they don't have anything to say because they can't say, well, all of these red pill guys, they're just degenerates and they're just like Andrew Tate. No. I consider myself one of those red pill guys. I'm sure Myron Gaines does too. Myron's not a degenerate. He's not like running around just banging random chicks. I mean, he could, but he doesn't. Now he does. Is he married? No. Is that part of the litmus test there? No, I don't think so. But they want to paste this, bumper sticker on us that we are like advocating or suggesting, or our philosophy is about just random degeneracy and hedonism and fucking anything on two legs, until they find out that I'm been married for 27 and a half, coming up on 27 and a half years. That's weird to say that, quite honestly. It even shocks me. But these guys, like, I agree with this guy thus far. Okay. Men are the sacrificial sex. I don't necessarily think that men should be disposable, because there's a connotation with that. There's a difference between being sacrificial, like sacrificing yourself, being sacrificial, as opposed to being, you're like, men should be soft like Kleenex, soft and disposable, right? That's a female way of, like, the way that he's like sort of delivering this is how I know the dude approaches everything from a female perspective.
10 men, 10 women, you send the women off to war, you're screwed. You send the men off to war, one comes back, you can still replenish.
Okay, so yes, we got that. Eggs are expensive. Just say this, dude. And I tell you what's great about this whole thing is, like, he's just basically explained eggs are expensive and sperm is cheap. We got that. Thank you very much. We've known that since, 2002 when Mystery was talking about it. But he thinks he's novel. Oh, the red pill guys never talk about this. No, dude, we've been talking about this since you were in fucking diapers, man. So I love how it seems like it's this great epiphany, revelation from on high. Like, yeah, this should be obvious to anybody.
The population. So men are disposable.
Men are sacrificial. How do I know that? Well, would you like me to give you a preview of one of the things I would probably debate if this thing actually goes down, which I'm hoping it does. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the rewind sound effect there, Sam. I just saw that now. What the fuck is this? No, there's a sacrificial sex. How do I know that? Well, children, if you read my fourth book that is on religion, that no one on the debate panel will have read, by the way. In religion, I mention there's a difference between being disposable. I'm not saying that men aren't disposable. They are. But, like, if you're going to look at it from more, I don't say a philosophical perspective, but a more like utilitarian perspective, sacrificial is actually more accurate, I think. Disposable means like it's like they're just getting cut down like wheat, Men are not disposable, but they are sacrificial, and men will sacrifice themselves much more readily for women than women will for men, because that's just simply how we evolved. So I can use this as an example. A better way, here's Crispin, whatever the fuck your name is. The better way to think of it is this. If you look at the Las Vegas mass shooting, for example, happened in 2017, horrible. One of the, if not still, the worst mass shooting in the United States history. Still unsolved. 70, I think it was 77 people were killed from gunfire from was it the MGM? Or I don't think it was Bellagio. I think it was MGM. Anyways, open fire on a open air, like I think it was a country music thing that was going on. 77 people died. And amongst the dead were men who put themselves bodily in front of women to take a bullet for women that they didn't even know. And same happened with, was it Holmes? It's not John Holmes. It's what the fuck was that kid's name? Anyways, the Aspen movie theater shooting, which is still sort of in the collective minds of a lot of people. James Holmes shooting. Guys would put themselves in front of live ammunition to save women that they didn't know. That's sacrificial. That is not disposability. That is sacrifice, is what it is. Men will do that autonomously because it's like, remember we were talking about like what's in a man's like sort of psyche, whatever, that's part of like to approach anxiety. That's part of your mental firmware, your evolved mental firmware, just like the innate evolved male protector dynamic. Oh, you send these guys off to war. Nobody's sending these guys off to war. They go, they sign up for it. They want to be there. They want to sacrifice themselves. That's the difference between being sacrificial and being like disposable. Now, I'm going to this is me, Roll Tomasi, spitballing here because I made this point in the book and you probably understand, you probably know where I'm going with this. But the ultimate sacrifice was Jesus Christ, right? The man dies on a cross for the sins of the world, right? One man sacrificed to save the world. Now you can look at like the hero's journey. You can look at like, any like sci-fi or fantasy story that where the guy saves the world, there's always sacrifice involved. The guy loses something that's dear to him or he dies in the process, right, to save the world. It's the Jesus Christ narrative. It's the martyr narrative. And the reason why the martyr narrative exists is because men are innately sacrificial. That's why. What do we got here? Holy mackerel. Rolo, you're wrong. I am. I would say read The Rational Male first before somebody goes into therapy. I'm wrong. You're right. You got me. Wait a minute. Hold on. Yes. Wrong. I'm wrong. I am wrong. Okay. A lot of diseases are overdiagnosed, and even being manly is a sickness. Even being manly is a sickness. If your book doesn't help, then you don't need therapy. I used to be antisocial. After your book, I became an extrovert. Well, thank you for that glowing endorsement. A roundabout way, but thank you very much for your glowing praise, my friend. I appreciate you. Chad Williamson. Yeah. Oh, we got some more from Chad. Chad Williamson. I think he's homosexual. That's me. I've had my suspicions. I think Chris Williams is homosexual. He really should probably just come out and admit it. I've yet to see a picture of him with a chick. Thoughts on career breaks? Currently 5 to 10 years from financial independence. Then don't take a break. Get to independence. However, career is soul crushing. Well, if it's only 5 to 10 years, I have plenty saved for a break, but I'm scared it would be a mistake. Should I risk it? Yes, risk it. Life is risk, man. Calculated risk. You don't know if your next breath is not guaranteed. I would. Men are far more risk tolerant than women are. The only reason I say that is because, God damn it, you're gonna make me do this, aren't you? I am probably the most risk tolerant person. I don't think people really appreciate that about. I'm very risk tolerant. I'm of the opinion that people, for example, when I was saying, hey, I want to find a house for $2,000 a month. I just want a basic place I can crash and park the car, right? Can I put my Camaro and the 300 together? I need a 2-car garage. That I needed, right? People were like, oh, Rollo, I thought you were a millionaire, blah, blah. No, and I probably never will be. And that's not because I'm have a negative self-talk. It's not no Tony Robbins shit. It's because I take my money and I do shit with it. I'll invest in people. I'll invest in Giovanni. I'll invest in the Savo brothers. I'll invest in Torsha. I'll invest in people that I think deserve to cut a break, right? I will put myself out there because you can't take it with you, right? I would much rather my daughter better bust her ass because there's probably not going to be much inheritance from me because I will probably have spent a good portion of it by the time I kick, right? And that's because the way that I look at money is I look at it as currency. And I don't mean currency. Oh yeah, it's currency. Money is currency, right? No, I mean, there's a reason why they call it currency because it's just like a current. It's like an electrical current. What can you do with the electricity? What function can you use that currency for? What are you going to do with it? You can collect it in a battery and sit on it. When you have money in the bank, that's your battery. What are you going to do with the currency and the electrical charge that is your bank account? What are you going to power? Are you going to power something are you going to power a video game? Are you going to power something that's, not going to go back into recharging? Because when I think about money, and I hate to go all, rich dad, poor dad on you, but one of the better things I think that my good friend Robert Kiyosaki says is there are liabilities and there are assets in life. And you want to use your battery for assets that generate that recharge your battery. And then you get more and more and more and you get a bigger battery and you can do more with that. So if I want to get rich, it's so I can do more with the battery that I have. So when you ask me, oh, should I take a career break? Should I take a chance? Yeah, I think you should. But make sure that the currency, the voltage that you're using, that is your bank account, make sure you're putting it into an asset and not a liability. That is the best advice anyone can give you, I think. Let's keep going with this.
Always will be, much more than women. And so we don't feel sorry for men in the same way. And I'm not advocating that we feel sorry for men because I don't believe that's the solution to men's problems. The solution to men's problems is for men to be better.
Okay. That's a blanket statement. And every time people give me shit or the Myron shit or the red pill shit about, oh, you guys are so about generalizations. I'm going to do what Leonardo DiCaprio. Wait a minute. That's it. That's a fucking generalization. What problems? What problems? What solutions? Be better, do better. That's so fucking general, man. That would solve all your problems if you were just a better dude. No, it wouldn't. You know who was better than you? Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. Dead, suicide, Anthony Bourdain. Better than you. Better than me. No, that won't solve your problems, especially if those problems are have a specific solution to them. So I hate that shit, man. I just like it's bad medicine is what it is. Because you don't know what to say. It's like saying, just be yourself, bro, and all the right girl will just drop into your lap. Get the fuck out of here. Like, let's talk about specifics here, asshat.
What's that mean?
You know what I mean. Look at you. This is what your entire life is spent on bettering yourself.
Yeah. But what problems did Chad Williamson have that him bettering himself, that solved for him? You don't know that because it just sounds right. It sounds truthy.
Physically, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, you're obsessed with performance. You're obsessed with being better. You're obsessed with being happier, more fulfilled.
I'm going to quote. Wait. Hold on. I'm going to actually have to read this. Wait. There's an Arnold Schwarzenegger quote. Obsession. Wait a minute. No, this is it. Okay, here we go. I love this. I'm obsessed with packing in as much work as possible each and every day. No, there's another one. Where is it? What's it? Oh, what people call. Oh, this is my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger quote. Is the worst thing I can think of is to be like everybody else. I love that. I love that one. The worst thing I can be is the same as everybody else. I hate that. Okay, I got that. But there's another one. I'm just going to paraphrase it because I can't find the exact same thing. It's what some people call obsession. I call passion. Oh, you're obsessed with it. Obsessed. No, that's my passion. That's what I like. You know what makes me happy? Doing the things that you think is an obsession. My wife has said, you're obsessed with guitars. Yes, I am. You're obsessed with cars. Yes, I am. Well, American muscle cars. You're obsessed with obsession. Anytime especially a woman, but anytime someone uses the term obsession, it means that they don't understand your passion for something. To be obsessed with something is like there can be an unhealthy obsession with something. Don't get me wrong, right? You can have one-itis for a girl and really be obsessed with that girl. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. It does. But when people use terms like you're obsessed with self-improvement, you're obsessed with working out, you're obsessed with no, dude, I have a passion for that. And when I'm in that, I get good feels when I work out. I get good feels when I'm driving my Camaro. I get good feels when I'm playing guitar. I get good feels when I'm doing the show. You're obsessed with podcasting. Yes, I am. Because the act of doing it, I get intrinsically rewarded for that. You don't, and you don't understand that. So therefore, you think that is like in some way debilitating, or it's dysfunctional in some way. That's when you call it an obsession. It's not. There are very few real obsessions in the world, for men anyway. Well, for people in general. But people think that it is in some way dysfunctional, or it's not the way things ought to be, right? Let's see. What else do I got for you guys today? Oh, we have to get into this. No, that's the long one. I have to give you the short one first. Okay, so here's the short version of this. Where did I go? Perfect.
What it is, my number one thing. Somebody asked, do you guys know why you're single? And I'll speak for myself. I know exactly why I'm single, because I've never dated a guy that God would have approved for me. Not to say, let me clarify and say that I've actually only dated great men. I'm a great picker. I've only dated really wonderful guys, good people to their core, obviously not perfect and clearly not from me.
Then why are you not married.
Because we would be together if that was the case, but like good people, but never somebody who's further along in their faith than I am.
You want to talk about obsession? You want to talk about cope? There is no greater cope than the Tradcon girl who's still waiting for that dude ordained by the heavens above to, shine down and arrive on the doorstep, man. And by the way, her story is very common. I remember listening and reading about almost identical stories in the Dalrock days back in like 2013, 2014.
Yeah. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that the person God has for me is like so far along in their faith than I am.
Now.
And I have such a desire, like a yearning to be led spiritually.
This is like you can't argue against it. I hate that it's like you can't argue against it. It's like unassailable, right? Because if I tell you right now that this chick is using God as her cope, she's using God to like reinforce her ego. Oh, I don't understand why guys don't want to be, but it's like Lolo Jones. You guys remember the Lolo Jones story? Lolo Jones, was it Olympic track Lolo Jones? I think she also did like bobsledding too. Was dedicated her life to the Lord. I'm not saying, hey, if that's your conviction. And you know what? I'll tell you this. She is convicted because she supposedly still is a virgin, and to the point now where she's I think she was 39 years old, just about to be 40, puts out these tearful TikTok videos of her having to go and freeze her eggs because the Lord still hasn't brought her the man that she's supposed to be with. I point that out and I am the devil, right? I am. Yes. But if I point out in nuts and bolts and no uncertain terms, the reason why you're single is because of your cope, because of your ego protection and your ego investments in all of this. And you get to be, there was, I don't know, I think it was Beth Moore, was somebody else back in the day. Forget the lady's name, but Dalrock made an example of this one, like very religious, like evangelical religious girl, or one woman, I should say, who was something like 54, 55 years old. She's well past like menopause and still hopeful and waiting for her, knight in shining armor, the perfect guy for her that the preordained by the Lord. And then you have to go and you look at someone like, is it Ciara? Is that her name? Yeah, Ciara, who was married to Russell Wilson, used to be quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, now the Denver Broncos. And then you listen to her talk about, like, cause she'd had what did she had a baby with? Was it Future that she had a baby with? I think it was Future that she had a baby with. And then she got with Russell, and they're supposed to be these really, evangelical, turn or burn Christians. And yet she's still like selling rum with her titties hanging out, and she's hanging out, and just like, it's just amazing to me that she uses the same language and the same cope that this girl is right now, who doesn't have a guy.
Just want to sit and look up at a man talking to me about theology, and I'll be so happy. You know what I mean? And so there's always been, unfortunately, not in like an insulting way, but there's a level of respect that I'll have for the person that I'm with when that's the case. And I've never experienced that.
Yeah. I wonder why. Could it be that it's not that you can't find that dude? I'm sure there's, by the way, why is it that every time a woman talks about like, oh, why are you single? Well, let me tell you, blah, 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 blah. When you ask women about that, or you ask them anything like red pill, just off, like they might not have any like clue what the red pill is. But if it's like Garrett Gaines or John from It's Complicated, we'll go ask these uninitiated people about it. Women will almost automatically turn any opportunity that looks like they're on, social media or something into a dating profile. And that's exactly what she's doing here. Is the whole interview is a dating profile. Why are you single? Well, I got to find the guy who's going to turn me on by quoting scripture and theology. And I just haven't met that guy yet. And I'm just, I know that I'm just going to look up to him and he's going to talk about theology and I'm just going to get wet in the panties. No, you're not. Because that's not what turns you on. You know what turns you on? Guys that look like Jack Reacher. I want a guy who looks just like Alan Richardson, who quotes the Bible. And he probably would because he's very religious, right? But that's what she's holding up. I would love to put those two together. I wish I could. She's a good looking girl. Why not? Jack Allen. Why not get with that girl? Thank you. For my renter's insurance, God knows I'm going to need it. Thank you. I'm going to need it now. Oh, here we go. Sam Whiskey, did I get you? Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology to build the first bionic dog. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic dog. Ned will be better, stronger, faster. I don't know about faster. He will be better and stronger. I will give you that. Thank you for the bionic dog. You know, I'll tell you what's interesting. I could show you the pictures if you'd like. I have the x-rays of the before and the after of, and thank you for the $20. The before and after of his radius and his ulna. It's fascinating to watch how, like, I mean, a human body does it too, right? But to watch how like a dog's bones like sort of knit and mend, I'm like, damn, that's amazing. That's amazing. And Ned is even more amazing because those bones are very, very thin, and they're very, like, for a greyhound, that's almost like that's a death sentence. Like when dogs and I know enough about this. I should do a full greyhound episode someday. Would you guys like that? Would you like to know my encyclopedic knowledge of the greyhound, Greyhoundicus velocitus maximus breed of mammalian canine? I could tell you all kinds of good stuff that you probably would never know otherwise. Did you know that dogs can smell in, 40 million times better? Or they have 40 million cilia in their noses, or whatever it is, the register things that are in their noses, and human beings only have 6. Dogs can smell in parts per trillion. They can, by the way, they also, I didn't know this too. I actually did research on this one time. Dogs can breathe it. They smell on the inhale and the exhale. Human beings only smell on the inhale. Dogs also, you notice that like dogs have that little hook that goes underneath the nostrils. Most dogs do anyways. They have that little hook. That has a function, by the way. Dogs can smell different smells in either side of their fucking nostrils. I'm like, God damn. They can, what was it? I think they can smell particular matter from, depending on the wind, of course, but from as far away as 20 miles. I was like, fuck. They've done experiments like this. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, they can. And you know what else they can smell? They can smell blood. Like if you have I've been out fishing before, and I'll have like a cut or something like that. I'll come back and instantly, like, I think Hero did this to me when I was out in Miami one time, which is Fresh's dog. And then I know that I've had Ned do this a few times, is if you have like an open cut, the dogs will go immediately to the open cut to see if you're okay. Dogs can smell, like, I think it's something like 40 times better than, or more than that maybe, than human beings can. And the first thing they go to smell is another dog's ass. But they can tell if a dog, like just from smelling urine, they can tell if the dog is pregnant, if it's male, if it's female. They can tell if it's sick. They can tell if I think it's pregnant. They can tell the age of the dog that took a piss there. It's like all this information. So like when your dog is like smelling like another dog's piss on the fire post or whatever, or on the lamp post or something like that, it's like the bulletin board, going to a forum, going to a bulletin board to get all that information. What do you got here? Hold on. This is good. Burning desire plus money plus marriage plus kids. Godly man, very rare from my perspective. 1 godly man, 20 godly women. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up. There's a reason why I made an example of you, because I'm about to put this on here.
People say some weird stuff about being single, like really dumb stuff. Christians too. And I think it's just like not only dumb, but it's unbiblical as well. So today I'm going to share with you 3 dumb things people say about being single and whether you're single or not. I think this video is going to help you understand singleness and marriage a lot more. I've heard this first one all the time, and I've had people say it straight to my face that when you're ready, when you are ready, God will bring you somebody. When you are mature enough, then he will bring you somebody to marry. So in your single years, that's just preparation.
Just like the girl who just did. By the way, I forget, he goes by a different name, but this guy And thank God, dude, that you got rid. I like this guy, by the way. He got rid of the broccoli head haircut finally. But this is the dude that Ruslan stole all of his material from.
For marriage. But if you truly look at that saying and dig underneath the surface of what they're trying to say there, they're basically saying that, hey, you're not a good enough Christian yet. You're not holy enough to get a spouse. So that's why you don't have one yet. That's why God hasn't brought you one into your life. And meanwhile, this is said to me by somebody that's been, dating for a couple weeks. It's kind of laughable. But at the same time, hey, okay, is this true? Are people that are married, are they more holy than single people? Is that what God's plan is all about? He says, hey, you know what? You've been so good in your single years. As a little bit of a present for you, I'm going to bring somebody else into your life that you can be with. No, that's not how it works at all. And this hierarchy of believing that married people are somehow more holy or they are mature enough to handle a relationship is just not the reality. There are plenty of
Thank you. God, that's why I like this dude. I do like this dude. I think he's legit. He's for real. It's too bad that Ruslan ripped him off. Oh, Rollo's talking about me again. I better do like 4 videos about him. Please do. No, I was going to say that he's not wrong. Like we were just like that one chick he basically is just explaining I don't even know who that girl is, right? Explaining exactly the same thing, right? Oh, you're not holy enough yet. See, here's the thing that gets me. Now, before I get too lost in the sauce, brah, before I get too deep in the weeds here, I got to point out that I have talked about this for quite some time. I took 3 years of my life to write this book. My most well-documented, by the way, there's a full, I don't know if you can see it. There's a full appendix of all my sources cited for this one. Talked to so many different people about so many different religions. So when people go, well, what's Rollo talking about? He doesn't know anything about religion. Bitch, I wrote a 3-year documentary on it. The confluence of the red pill as intersexual dynamics, the sexual marketplace, sexual economies, and religion. Trust me, I'm a pretty good researcher when it comes to this shit. Okay. So when I see this, I have to also, I'm always in between like, well, Rollo must be an atheist. I'm not an atheist. Okay. For sake of argument here, just read chapter 14 and you'll get it. Okay. So when people like presume because I'm critical of this stuff, I must in some way be shitting on religion. No, I want you to do better is what I want you to do. And this guy's actually doing it. He's doing it a little bit better. He's explaining this stuff. But by doing that, he turns into a heretic, right? He turns into somebody, persona non grata. We don't want you, they don't want to listen to this dude. And I mean, look at him, but I like him though. I'm not shitting on him. But just the way that he's like presenting this stuff to be able to even talk about this, people will automatically think that you're attacking their religion. And I'm not going to say attacking the religion. I'm just attacking the doctrine. Maybe is that better? The practice, the cope that goes along with this, because basically he's just explaining the cope that I just explained to you. If it comes from him, it sounds better than it does from Rollo. Right.
Really, really mature people that are single. And there's plenty of immature people that are married. So what is the truth here? Well, God often uses, and he does use marriage as a sanctification process.
Okay. I need to stop it right here because he just contradicted, and thankfully so, he contradicted guys like Mark Driscoll. He just contradicted all of these sons of bitches who want to say, and by the way, we've talked about it on this show, who want to go to, what is it? Turning Point USA. Find a woman, get married, have more children than you can afford. Or Charlie Kirk talking about, we're just going to repopulate the earth because we're reproducing more than these leftist liberals are, right? He's basically saying, no, that's not how it works. You can be immature. You can be stupid. You can make dumb ass choices in getting married. And just because you're married does not mean you're mature. And in fact, I would argue that the idea of finding a woman, getting married, have more kids than you can afford, blah, blah, blah. Comes from a place of immaturity is where it comes from. And also to point out The danger. So for me to go and have the conversation with like James Sexton about like the dangers of getting married, the very real fucking liabilities and dangers of getting married. If I go and have that conversation with James Sexton, who is for 20 plus years a divorce attorney, already been on Lex Friedman, been on my show, I don't know if he's going on Rogan. I go and have that conversation and people say, Rollo's anti-marriage. I'm not anti-fucking marriage. I do expect you to have a mature outlook on it. And part of that mature outlook is understanding the liabilities, responsibilities, and accountabilities, whatever, that go along with it, especially today. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your convictions are. I'm not against marriage. You know what I'm against? I'm against, I didn't see it coming, Rollo. I'm against, I didn't know she would turn on me. We were going to have an amicable divorce. And then she got with this divorce attorney and now they're taking me for everything I got. I didn't know this before. You know what James Sexton said when I was interviewing? He said this on several occasions. You know, there's a point where he wanted to go to like a marriage expo or something like that. And they wouldn't let him in there because he was just basically going to say, here, get a prenup. They wouldn't even let him in there. They wouldn't even let him in the door to set up a table to say, here's how you get a prenup. You know, here, let's do some, you want to do premarital counseling? Why? If you're going to go see your pastor or your reverend or your minister, whatever it is, for premarital counseling, I would also say you should probably go see somebody like James Sexton included in that premarital counseling. But it doesn't meet the romantic ideal. That's why.
Like he uses that sanctification in this person's life. So it might not even be that you're super mature, but it actually might be that you're immature. And yet God wants you to hyperspeed that sanctification through marriage. So he brings somebody into your life, even though maybe you're not ready for it, but it's going to amplify your growth. The lie that's tethered to this one as well is that when you have enough faith, not only when you are holy enough or you're mature enough, but when you have enough faith, then God will bring you someone. And this was actually uttered by somebody in my comment section a while back. And you can see the comment here. I'm not trying to shame this person, but just to say that, hey, this is a common belief that people have. When you have enough faith, then God will bring you the person you're supposed to be with. But this totally takes out.
This is the dude I want on my side of the debate.
The fact that God uses the means of our action to fulfill his purposes. Think about it. We don't treat other things that way. We don't expect God to just put food on our dining room table. No, we go to work so we can earn money so then we can, buy food and make food and put it on our table. And so he uses that means. So God did provide for us. He did provide for us, but he still used the means of our action to bring about his purposes and his blessings. Yeah,
see, this is the thing I like this outlook anyways. You can pray. If that's your spirituality, if that's your belief, and by the way, that should be like sincere to yourself more than anything. I don't, I pray to the Lord. But if I go into my room in my closet and I pray, Lord, please give me a big T-bone steak in my freezer tomorrow. Amen. And there's no big T-bone steak in my freezer tomorrow. Did I just not pray hard enough? No, it means that you actually have to take, there's some shit you got to take action, right? And that's basically what he's saying. And the reason why I like what he's talking about here is because you got to take action. You got to do shit, right? I mean, God helps those who help themselves, right? Was it Benjamin Franklin who said that? You got to do shit. You got to get out there. You got to this is pretty much, this is very red pill, right? I say this all the time. Like, you can read my book all day long. You can talk to me all day long, but I can't help you if you don't go out there and fucking get out and fucking get in the game, have skin in the fucking game. I would argue that the Lord wants you to have skin in the game, right? Get out there and do shit, right? And that's pretty much what he's talking about right here. And I 100% agree. But when you hear women like that one that we saw in the video prior to this, well, it just hasn't arrived yet, and the Lord hasn't just provided me with this guy. Now, look at I'm gonna take him out for a second. I'll put him back in a minute. Actually, hold on one second. This is actually more pertinent. Let's see if I can get this. What is that one? Here we go. Now, let's compare and contrast.
Man we're still, even in today's day and age, with all of our, let's say, enlightened views of gender, sex, and power, we're still expected to initiate. Women still expect the men to initiate, and they still expect the man to make the offer. And that offer could be, are you up? To, can I buy you a drink? To, will you marry me?
Yeah.
It's like women are still waiting for the offer, which is really interesting because women under 30 without children are outperforming men in that same demographic in almost every quantifiable metric, most notably in education and earning. So they're doing really well. And to the extent that men made the offer in the past because they had the resources and the provision to offer a life to a woman, that's becoming increasingly less salient in today's day and age. But there's still this expectation that men initiate and make the offer. And if you're making the offer, you're going to hear no a lot.
Okay. Now, thank you, Dr. Taraban. That's basically a paraphrasing of what I've said before. When it comes to men are the initiators, women, like men are the performers, women are the choosers. Okay. That's basic, like evolutionary psychology side of the red pill. The other side of this is what I've said in the past is that men are the salesmen, men are the pitchmen. Men are the guys who have to go out there and sell the vacuum cleaner at the front door, right? They have to go door to door. They have to be the ones who are initiating. They have to be the ones who go out there. They have to be the ones to put themselves out. They have to perform. That is your burden of performance. I'm surprised he didn't even use that term because he rips off a lot of my other terms. But I like Taraban. So men are the performers. Men are the salesmen. Men are the pitchmen. Women are the advertisers. Women, that's why Instagram and OnlyFans and everything else, they love that shit, because if you can you can turn $1 off of pretending that you're sexually available for as long as possible. Yeah, women love that attention. They love to be able to if they can get paid for it, all the better. But you'll understand that women are the advertisers and men are the pitchmen. Men are the salesmen, women are the advertisers. I've said before, like if you're in a monogamous relationship where it's closed on her end and closed on your end, and you go pitch yourself to the waitress or the bartender or the stripper or something like that, that's called cheating. But if a woman is advertising and she's supposed to be in a closed on her end, closed on your end relationship, and she's still advertising her sexual availability on Instagram, we call that prudent. We call that a career. We call that revenue generate. We call that content. So that's the difference in all of that. But what it also comes down to is approaches when it comes to intersexual dynamics. For men, as our good friend, let me see if I can throw him back up here.
And so
just to come back to his point, now we come full circle. Okay. When we watched the woman who was here talking about, well, the Lord hasn't provided for me. I haven't seen, the guy has not arrived on my doorstep yet. And when he does, and we talk about theology, I know I'll just get giant tingles from that, right? She's waiting because advertisers wait. They don't have to pitch. They just simply sit there and wait. They don't have to go out. They don't have to take initiative. Women aren't even expected to. That's exactly what Dr. Taraban was just saying. Men are the initiators, and they're the ones who have to go out and take action. They're the pitchmen. They're the salesmen. Women are the advertisers. So how does that affect their perspective when it comes to dating, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to marriage proposals, when it comes to just intersexual dynamics in general? Women are the ones who are there to select, and men are the ones to pitch. Well, if God is the one who's doing the pitching and he's not pitching and you're doing the advertising, you're going to be fucking lonely you're going to turn into Lolo Jones at 40 years old. You're going to do a TikTok video, a tearful crying video with, Hello Darkness, my old friend, going in the background while they extract eggs from your dying, crustifying fallopian tubes. And people and girls will be like, oh, I can't believe she's so faithful. No, she's juvenile. She's immature, which is this is why I like this guy. Ladies, it is immature for you to be in that position. Well, God's the pitchman. Yeah, he is. You're going to pray for that fucking T-bone steak to be in your freezer. You're going to pray for that guy to arrive. Jack Reacher is going to come onto your doorstep and just happen to be passing through the town, walking through the town. Well, where's my Jack Reacher, Lord? Nowhere. because you got to get out there and do it too. And you know why? Because even Christian women have become the men that they want to marry. That's why you're fucked. That's why you've got to change your mind about all this bullshit. And it's really hard to do when your mind is set on your convictions and you think that it's men's responsibility to not only be hot, good looking, and chaste and faithful and talk about theology and just the perfect guy, and nothing else will satisfy. Nothing. She was saying, oh, I've dated all these really great guys because, God forbid, I tell you that these guys were scumbags. I dated really, really nice guys, but they just weren't the one. They weren't the one that was preordained before I was born in the womb. Oh, and he explains this very, very well.
Hey, he's going to be the one to bring you your person. Absolutely. But he still uses the means of your action, especially as a man who's supposed to be the pursuer. If you're not doing anything, if you're not growing, if you're not putting yourself out there, then hey, look, you shouldn't be the one to say, oh, God, why don't I have somebody in my life? Well, you're not doing anything about it. And I'm not saying take things out into your own hands, meaning that you do something that's unwise or reckless or...
I'm saying you do. You do exactly that because you need to be you're a guy. You need to be risk tolerant, not risk averse.
Something like that. Obviously, that's not what God wants you to do. But that doesn't mean that we can't be acting in good, beneficial ways in pursuit.
You think when Jonah was told by the Lord to go preach against Nineveh, that involved a considerable amount of risk? I'm pretty sure the Lord doesn't give two shits about how you feel about how risk tolerant you are as a guy. Just saying.
Of something that we desire that's good. And don't get it twisted. You're not the mastermind behind this. It's not like your plan of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to meet this person. Hey, you don't know any of that, but it's about putting yourself out there. It's about doing the things that make sense and are wise, to meet different people, to have those conversations.
Good stuff. Paralysis by analysis. If God only chooses the righteously mature for marriage, then why was the Apostle Paul single until his death? Great show, Rolo, as always. Thank you very much. Single until his death. See, the Lord wants you to be an incel and a MGTOW. I remember that the Apostle Paul was supposed to be proof that MGTOW was biblical and scriptural. What advice or resources do you recommend to get someone started going to the gym? Oh, good question. Is there a Tomasi equivalent of the fitness community? Yeah, there is. Thor. You want me to give you a plug, Thor? I have, let's see, who do I have as my fitness? Well, have you seen Jay Titer? Is that what your name is? There it is. Okay. Well, I did do a very long video, an interview with Hidetaka Yamagishi and his training partner, George, whose name escapes me right now. So yeah, I'll tell you what's interesting, Jay, is I'm actually trying to add that as a part of the new program that I'm working with Joe Marone on for MOA. It's going to be the 45 to 65-year-old guys. I don't know how old you are exactly. When we talk about money, muscles, and game, the muscles part, I think, is the most underserved part of that trifecta right now. And I'm trying to make amends for that at the moment. I can tell you right now, the people that I listen to the most, and I am 55 years old, I am on TRT. I live within walking distance of my gym, so I'm working out quite a bit more these days. And I run anywhere between 2 to 3 miles a day with my lightning fast bullet of a greyhound, the one that still has all 4 of her legs. So if you ever wanted to know what, if you ever do HIIT training, high intensity interval training, and you do sprints, you know what I'm talking about. You bust out, you rip ass as fast as you can. You stop till you wait for a minute, and then you rip ass and pull and go to the next, the next thing you're doing sprints. I used to do those in the gym, one of the running tracks of the gyms I used to go to. I don't have to do that anymore because I have a greyhound. And that's exactly what greyhounds are the perfect breed of dogs if you're into high intensity interval training and you do sprints, because that's what they do. Top speed is 45 miles an hour for a dog. You will not be able to keep up with them. Trust me. But they will rip and burn ass for probably I don't know, 50 yards, 100 yards, and dead ass stop. Just like stop on a dime so they can smell whatever it is they're smelling. And that there's only two speeds. There's as fast as it can go and dead ass stop. Those are the two. You don't walk a greyhound. It walks you, it drags you. But so so if you want to know what my training regimen is, I do. I'll tell you about it later. Here, we'll come back to it. I'll leave you start here. I don't want to stop the show. I want to keep going.
To be authentic in your communication and to be deliberate in your intentions with different people. To say, hey, look, I'm interested in you. I want to pursue you, and God's going to facilitate that. If it's meant to be, then it's going to come to fruition.
Okay, so this is where I think he kind of loses the narrative just a touch. Okay, and this is my critique. Since I can be honest, so we're in the trust nest right now. Are we in the trust nest? Here's the trust nest. The problem with being upfront like that is it kills the game. I just want to be upfront and let you know that I'm courting you. And I wanted to let you know that I'm doing this in a holy, wholesome way. And I just want you to know that women don't want that. They don't want to, as I said, women want to play the game. They don't want to be told that they are playing a game. I think that is the worst thing. And he's not the first person. I can't give him too much shit for this, because I hear a lot of guys, even non-religious guys, will say this. If you're like that upfront and you're that bold and you're that like, oh, hey, the Lord said that he's put it upon my heart that I should tell you that I'm going to do this in the most humble, most godly way, but I'm courting you. And I just want you to know that, my intentions are pure. I'm very marriage minded and da, 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 da. What you're doing is you're telegraphing everything, and any mystery and any depth to you just flies right out the window when you do that. And this, I've heard this on so many occasions and not just from like Christians, but from like Jews as well, from Muslims. It's the proper way to court. If you're using the term "I'm courting her," you're done. Stop using that term. Stop using marriage minded. Don't telegraph that, because you want to draw her into your world. By doing that, you're basically ceding frame right there. And that woman doesn't want to have unless you're like so fucking high value that it's flattering to her, but you're probably not that dude. Don't do that. Don't be that upfront and that blunt, because you also because here's the thing. Think about this. Imagine you do this and you say, hey, baby, we met at Bible study. I like you, you like me. I prayed about this. The Lord said that we got an arrangement. The Lord said that I should court you, and so therefore I'm going to court you, and da da da. The problem with that is now you've telegraphed yourself and you've telegraphed your intentions. Once you've done that and you go, I found this other hot bitch over here at this Bible study over here. And you know what? The Lord's leading me away from you over to her because she's got bigger tits than you. And she wants to hear about theology. that little blonde girl with the crucifix necklace and the big titties. Yeah. She gets off when I talk about theology. The moment you do that, now, not only have you sort of like, you shot your shot with this girl, you're done. You've also going to have to question your own convictions because if that chick ain't the one and this other girl is the one, then you're just going to, and by the way, there is no one, but like, if that's the way you think, now it's not only between you and her, it's between you and the Lord. So you're fucked. Don't do that. There's a million different reasons why you don't telegraph, but it's hard to tell Christian guys that, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Second dumb thing that people say about being single is that single people can be more devout in their faith, and they are more devout in their faith than married people because they're undistracted. And this is jumping off something, but Paul said that says, hey, it's better to be single. If you're not burning with passion, right? If you don't have that desire, then it's better to be single because then you can just go all in for Christ. But what does this lead us to? Like, that is completely true. And I affirm Paul's words, obviously the words of God. But when we hyperemphasize that being single is king, right? What happens then is that those people that do have those passions, that should be getting married, really, they feel like, okay, if I get married, then I can't serve God the best way, right? I'm not really glorifying God. I'm paying too much attention.
I love the short circuits. I love the circular logic and all of this. By the way, I think he's got 3 of these. So this is like number 2. But this is, as I was saying before, this is the MGTOW argument. Well, the Lord wants me to be single. And it says in the Bible that unless you burn with passion, you should probably keep your pecker in your pants and devote your entire life to live some monastic lifestyle. And you'll be holier than the people who are married. So this is another thing I would love to throw at like Lila Rose or somebody like that. It's like, so do you think that if you're married, you're more closer to God and you're more holier than if you're not married? Because the Apostle Paul would disagree with you. What do you think? I love conundrums like this.
To my wife, I'm paying too much attention to my husband, and I'm not really glorifying God in the way that he wants me to. So maybe I can push myself to just be single, and then I can really glorify God. The truth is,
push myself to be single. Has there ever been any bigger cope for how it amazes me that Christians ever reproduce at all, especially like this. It's like there's so much navel gazing. It's like, dude, just like, I want to fuck. Okay. Just like accept the fact that there's nothing wrong with wanting to fuck. There's nothing wrong with wanting a wife. There's nothing wrong with wanting a girlfriend. There's nothing wrong with wanting her to wear lingerie and have big titties and to really be into you as much as you're into her. Nothing wrong with that. But when it doesn't happen for you, don't pretend that you're making your necessity of virtue. Thank you for repeating that, Dr. Orion.
There's a uniqueness in the different ways that we can bring God glory. There's this hyper emphasis on mission work and being single and just going to Africa and.
Okay. This is what the most ironic part of this is when I was doing the research for book 4. Oh, God, I got to give you an evil laugh for this. More women are in the church to begin with. And you know who does the most amount of missionary work? Pun intended. Women. Women do more missionary work for churches than men do missionary work for churches. I have the stats right here as far back as 2021 to prove it. So saying when guys say, well, I'm pushing to stay single because the Apostle Paul said I should, and I keep my pecker in my pants, and that way I can focus on the mission work. Dude, bro, I love you. I really do. I love you as a brother in Christ. Okay. But here's the thing. It's mostly women doing missionary work. It's mostly women who are staying single because guys ain't shit. Christian guys ain't shit. You got that chick who was in the other video prior to you. That chick was fucking hot. She was smoke. I would get it. I would put her on Access Vegas. I would hire her to be a bottle girl. I would hire her to be a poor girl for sure. She got it going on, but she's I don't know if she's doing missionary work, but she's not waiting. Like, this guy would probably make a really good husband for that chick. She won't have anything to do with him because he doesn't look the right way, doesn't talk the right way, he's not absolutely perfect. And I'll tell you, man, the idea that average women don't want to get with average men is amplified to the nth degree when it comes to like very religious women. Because now you are, not only do you have that belief, which is only the best will do, I don't want to settle for anyone else. Now add I don't want to settle for anybody else. Add to that, God doesn't want me to settle for anything less than the best. You got a mountain to climb, my friend. All that stuff about like performance and getting out there and doing it. You got your work cut out for you as a Christian guy.
And being this missionary, and like, obviously that is wonderful, or being a missionary on the streets or evangelist or whatever that looks like.
How many guys are doing that? Because the guys I see on the street, like now I have seen, don't get me wrong, I've seen guys down at the Fremont or whatever, down in Vegas. There are street preachers down there, but they're usually brothers, and they look like they just got out of an AA meeting, and they look I don't know, they're not hitting on all cylinders, right?
For you. But I think there's not as much of an emphasis on the beauty of living a simple life with your family, of caring for your wife, of caring for your children, of providing for them, of protecting them. That brings God glory. That brings God glory. We don't.
Okay, I agree. I also think that going out there and kicking ass and taking names can also bring God glory. I think that going and starting a band, I don't know, whatever brings God glory. You could be an artist. There's lots of different ways to do that. So the long and the short of all this, I think I'll take him out now because it's really good. I'll put the link to that video in here. I thought it was a really good video, but the reason I'm bringing this up, or I'm even putting him up on this screen here, is because it's getting back to the idea of like, oh, those red pill guys doesn't gel with Christianity. Bitch. I think people think that I just talk shit or I just do stuff like this to like sell a book or whatever else. It's like, no, man, you don't understand. This is 3 years of my life right here. Seriously, not serious as a heart attack. This is my most well-researched book was religion. And I think it's finally, when I wrote it, I did it because quite honestly, you know why I did the book is because Pat Campbell told me I should. And I did. And I think he read it probably 6 months before he died. And I'm glad I did. I think it was before its time. And maybe now it's sort of like religion. My fourth book is coming into its own because of just the way that things have changed sort of so socially right now. But nobody can say I didn't do the work. Nobody can say that I don't know what I'm talking about, but I can tell you that these guys know what they're talking about. So, what do I got here? Jay, I got to you. Oh, I'll come back to that question. Hang on. The Rational Male. These Tradcon guys are slaves to the corrupted word. They don't serve God. They serve the church of their idea. The church and their idealism. Okay. Reading Hormonal by Marty Hazelton. Your iron rule number 4 is gospel. Yes. Okay. Thank you. What is iron rule number 4, children? Always control the birth. Yes. That's funny. I'm glad you brought that up because that reminds me, when people give me shit about my vasectomy tweet, that's really iron rule of Tomasi number 4, controlling the birth. I was in the most extreme sense. Yes, but it's true. Viking Paradigm. Thanks for that. I would be careful. Yeah, they do serve. They don't serve the church. Serve their idealism. That's true. I think that there is an element of wanting to have a tribal affiliation too. I think that that's really the root of the shit talking from guys like Chase or from other individuals as well. I think there's the root to it. Now, here's what's going to happen. If this goes down, if and when this goes down, we'll see. I think people are going to puss out and bottle out, but we'll see. I would really like to see Lila Rose on there because I think when she came at Justin on whatever podcast almost a year ago now, I think Justin was just caught flat-footed. I think he probably, if he had had a little bit more time to sort of hash out what he was thinking, I don't think he was ready for that particular question. I think he could have been. In fact, right after that, when that clip came out of Lila going after Justin, if you don't know what I'm talking about, she was going after Justin because Justin is in a relationship where he's got he's got his baby mama, he's got 2 children. I can say that now. I couldn't say that before. I was respectful of Justin's wishes, and I didn't say I knew his main and my wife are pretty good friends, and let's just stop bullshitting. His wife and his my wife are pretty good friends. We have known about the babies and everything for a long time. But he has a very non-traditional relationship, right? It's closed on her end, it's open on his end, not unlike Mike Sartain, who also has something similar to that. Now, he's not married to Kylie, but it is open on his end in the terms that they can both fool around and sexually with women that they like, because it helps that Kylie's sort of bi, so she likes girls too. And so that works out very well for them, but it's very non-traditional. But if I was to sit down and talk with Mike about his faith and his religious beliefs, I'm sure it would pretty much align and gel with a lot of what these guys are saying. Or for instance, I could also have the conversation with, and maybe I will have a conversation with Myron. Myron doesn't drink. I shouldn't say that. I haven't seen him drink, except I've only seen him drink on very rare occasions, like when they were celebrating their 1 million party. He doesn't go out. He doesn't really go to clubs. He goes to the gym. He lives a very, for lack of a better term, very monastic lifestyle. You will not. He has a girlfriend. I know. I've seen that, and he's not homosexual, not gay. Myron Gaines is not gay. I can tell you with 100%. You have to take my word, 100% assurity, because I've been privy to some of the girls walking out of that place before, and some of them might shock you. But I know he is most definitely 100% not a homosexual. And every time you see that stupid picture of him, like sort of like cozying up with some guy who was like his army buddy, or when he was in the military, or he's in like what was it, the FBI or whatever. That's the guys just fucking around when they're drunk and they're kids and they're stupid, right? And somebody picked that up and go, I think Myron's gay. Myron is not gay. Period. Trust me on that one. But Myron talks about him, like, because Myron is a Muslim. I know that he doesn't eat certain foods. I remember one time I was eating some pizza, and I brought him a piece of pizza, and he's like, no, I can't eat it. I'm like, it's pepperoni pizza. What the fuck, man? And he's like, because I'm like, it's not, there's no ham on it. It's not ham and like pineapple or anything like that. He's like, no, it's got pepperoni on it. And I guess there's something in the pepperoni that was like haram. Wait, it's haram. I'm like, pepperoni's haram? I guess it is. So, but Myron will say he's a bad Muslim, meaning that he's like a Muslim, but he likes to fuck. And I would say probably Mike would say similar things. Like, he's a Christian, but he's a Christian who likes to fuck, and he's got a hot girlfriend who likes to bring other women into bed. And that works for now. I would probably say, I don't know for sure, but I bet I could have this conversation with Justin and say, hey, look, I know you have a very non-traditional marriage, but would you say you're a Christian? He would say, yeah. He would say that would be his faith. Well, then you got Lila Rose going, well, why can't you just do what you're told? Why can't you just get back on the plantation? Because he's Justin fucking Waller. Why should his lifestyle, why should his priorities change because you have a moral crisis about it? That's the thing. That's what I would bring up. I brought this up before. I actually said this something similar with Jesse Preston on Access Vegas, when I said, like, why would facilitating or meeting a woman's needs need to be my priority as a man? Why? I was just point blank about that. And she looked at me like I killed her dog or something like that. I'm like, but seriously, I mean, why is it a man's imperative, or it should be, or why do we think that it's the onus is on a man to meet a woman's needs? Because that's always like, well, why is it that 75% of women initiate divorces? It's always the man. It's got to be the man. He must be abusive. He must be, no. And divorces aren't initiated because of that. Right. We even looked at them. I looked at this. Infidelity might be one, but it's not domestic partner abuse. It might be infidelity. That's number two. Number one is lack of commitment. And lack of commitment can be fucking anything. Oh, he had an emotional affair? Lack of commitment. Let's get a divorce. Why is it that lesbian women divorce at like way higher rates than, well, really anyway, even heterosexual or homosexual men? Why? Because women are the ones who expect the best, right? They're the ones whose needs have to get met. And if those needs aren't getting met, then time for divorce. Let's call Jim Sexton. That's because they're again, like I said, they're the advertisers of men are the pitchmen. Men are the ones who are the sacrificial sex. Women are the vulnerable sex. Men must perform, women do the choosing. Well, when women are in lesbian relationships, they're both doing the choosing. So yeah, I'm sure that there's probably a lot of more discord between lesbian couples than there are between male couples. Like gay men, right? Gay men just want to fuck. That's easy. That equation's really easy. You stop fucking there, it's over. Next. I'm wondering, and I don't have the rates of this. Maybe Rugby can, Sam, maybe Rugby can get me the stats for this. I'm wondering what the marriage rate of homosexual men is versus the marriage rate of homosexual women is. Like, what's the differential? Like, how many homosexual couples men get together versus how many lesbian couples get together? Who gets married more? because I think there's probably a difference between those. Like heterosexual is what it is, right? But like between men getting married to men and women getting married to women, I wonder who gets married more. Like what seems like a better deal, long-term relationship? Because this is me spitball. This is what I would think. I would presume is true. I would expect this is true. Is that homosexual men get married at much lower rates than homosexual women because women are security seeking, men are sex seeking. So it doesn't really behoove homosexual men to have a marriage, a traditional, like, closed on his end. God, that sounds weird saying, relationship. Whereas women might want that more because they're looking for security, more emotional, financial, whatever else. I would argue lesbians much more. Okay, I got it. Thank you very much. See, and like magic, it appears in my inbox. Lesbians much more likely to get divorced than gay men, according to science. Yeah, I got that. I want to know who, like statistically speaking, who gets married more. Like that doesn't, it's one thing to say, well, lesbians are much more likely to get divorced than gay men. Is that because more lesbians get married than gay men? See what I'm saying? Obviously, more lesbian women would get divorced if there's like 100,000 lesbian couples and there's only 10,000 homosexual men couples. I would expect that goes without saying. That's just a statistical, probability. I want to know who gets married more, homosexual men or homosexual women. I'll wait. Saralita. Rolo, why are Tradcons afraid to debate on FNF? Because FNF is seen as the enemy. Myron is a way better moderator than whatever podcast. Yeah, you're right. He's also more entertaining. Sorry, Brian, I love you, but like Myron's way more entertaining. I want Lila and Andrew to debate, or you and Lila. Well, you might get both, actually. You might get both of your wishes. So, Saralita, who's also a member, and you should be too, of this fine podcast. Yeah, I agree. I kind of doubt people want to go on a show with me, especially in this. I mean, come on. I got the chops already. Here's what will happen. I'm going to make a prediction. If this goes down, if and when this goes down, my prediction is this: it will end up becoming yeah. Let's hope so. Hold on. There you go. Anytime you mention the emperor, you get power overwhelming. And now everybody's going to mention Emperor Protect. Here's what will happen. You will see what happens in most like Tradcon, in most sort of like theological, metaphysical, any debate where it comes to religion, it always devolves to you can't argue with God, period. So if I go and I say, well, marriage is one of the worst decisions or one of the worst deals a man can sign up for, can volunteer for these days. And I throw the caveat in there about, well, I'm married myself. I've been married for, like, people are very confused. Well, Rolo 20. Like, if I say that, it seems like I'm against marriage. You can actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can actually have a conversation about things you are diametrically opposed to and not agree with them. That is absolutely 100% possible. You can say, I really hated, Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge, right? But I can talk about that, and I can talk about why they came to the conclusions that they did and what the whole thing was going. I can give you a history lesson. And I can do that without saying Pol Pot was a really great guy. And I have to say Pol Pot because I can't talk about the Germans in the 1930s. So we'll use that as an example instead. But you can actually do that and not be part of the Khmer Rouge. I don't know if that you can figure that shit out for yourself, but you know what else? I can also say that marriage as we do it today is one of the worst deals that men can engage in. Guess what? That doesn't mean I'm anti-marriage or I'm going against God or Allah or Yahweh or Shiva, Buddha. That doesn't, you can actually talk about things that you don't agree with. And you know what? It's called a thought experiment. You should try it sometime, religious guys. You can do that. But unless you're Rollo Tomasi, then you can't fucking do jack shit. You can't do anything. Yes, you can't debate with God. Because what happens is if that's their belief, and they say, well, you know what, Rollo, I hear what you and James Sexton say about like, you're going to lose half your stuff. I see these stories of these guys losing, $2 million or $200 million because they were getting handies at a freaking Thai jerk off massage place because they were in a sexless marriage. And I've seen these stories and all this stuff, and it sounds like it's absolutely horrible. But you know what? That's a cliff that my God says I have to go and take a leap of faith off of, and he's going to protect me and make sure that I'm good to go. How do you argue with that? The Lord said, all right. There's nothing I can do. That like kills all argument. And matter of fact, that's one of the very first things in the very first chapter in the introduction of this book that I say. It's called the Orthodox Paradox. That's number one. Like, you're not a real Christian is the Orthodox Paradox. And the other one is you can't argue against God, meaning that that's the final say. Because if you believe that this is what God wants you, this is the prime directive here, I can't talk you out of it. And I wouldn't want to try to anyways. But it doesn't mean I'm wrong. I can tell you that it's the worst decision that a man can make, but you're still going to go and make it because I can't argue with the Bible. That's what the Lord said to do. Right? Or the Quran or the Torah or the Bhagavad Gita, whatever. I don't know. Can't argue with that. Well, I guess we can't have an argument. And that's where it's going to devolve to. Because what happens is and I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen with Jordan Peterson and Dillahunty. I think whenever it is like a religious guy versus the atheist, we're going to debate whether God is real or not. No, you're not, because no one's mind is going to be changed. No one watching it is there to change their mind. No one is going to come to Jesus at the end of that debate. You're just there to stroke your own egos. That's all it is. And by the way, whenever you go and you have those debates, gentlemen, we're going to debate whether God is real or not. No, you're going to go and have a conversation that you're going to walk away from and say, I win. Both of you, by the way, the atheist and the religious guy. Yeah, you're going to lose this argument, but not because you're wrong. And that's what it comes down to. So trust me, my father, by the way, who is a dyed-in-the-wool atheist for a very long time. I'm not an atheist, but my father definitely was for a long time. My father used to be he was a secular humanist. I talk about this in the book, by the way. Very much a secular humanist. He only went to a Unitarian church because his second wife went to a Unitarian church and he wanted the pussy. So it is what it is. But very much an atheist, very much, he was never, I don't think my dad was ever even agnostic, to be honest with you. But he used to go and have those exact same debates that everybody thinks is so fucking novel right now because we got the internet. No, that's been going on for a long time. I remember my dad going and doing those things. Now you had to do it live because we didn't have like cell phones and the internet back then. But yeah, you're not novel. You're not new. And I know how I know how it ended then, and I know how it'll end now. So that's why I don't have those conversations. I'm getting tired of the men of my generation giving half of our achieved assets to a waitress who couldn't finish a shift at Hooters, Bill Burr. Yeah. You know who you should be quoting? You should be quoting Jim Sexton because he's the one he's got some horror stories, I'll tell you. Psych Hacks. Psych Hacks is a hack. I like Dr. Taraban. I do think that he goes back through my backlog of essays and then he puts a psychology spin to them. Like, I did all the hard work a long time ago. And by the way, he's not the only, I can't give him shit for it, but like me and Ryan Stone and I'm trying to think who else. Aaron Clary for sure. Aaron Clary has done a good job of sort of protecting his own intellectual property, but me and Ryan Stone are basically the research and development department of the Red Pill. And I feel no shame bringing that up. We're the only ones who are doing any new work right now and only ever did any kind of innovative work. You want to know why Pearl has a fucking channel? Because of me. You want to know why Myron and Fresh are where they're at? And a derivative of me. Andrew Tate has lifted so much of my material. Like, Kenny, I don't even know where to fucking begin. And I'm okay with that because the red pill, I think, needs to be open source. So go and lift whatever you want. I'll make more, but know where it's coming from. Oh, Rollo just wants his flowers. No, but I do want people to understand where the source is. That's all. Hey, man, Patrice O'Neal came before you. Yeah, Patrice O'Neal has been dead for what, 12 years, 20 years now. Hey, man, was it Tom Likas? Tom Likas came before you. Yeah, and what has he done? Jack shit. And he hasn't taken it and done any. He hasn't moved it along. He hasn't moved the red pill along. That's for damn sure. The debate will most likely be you correcting their definitions and how we should change the language we use in TRP. Yep. And lots of spurgs in the chat, of course. And you know what? There'll be spurgs. You know what they'll be? It'll be even worse than that, Nuke. You know what it'll be? It'll be moral fags in the chats. And that's a term. That's a word I haven't used in quite some time. That's what we used to call them on the forums. That's what 4chan used to call them. That's what So Suave used to call them. They're Tradspergs, moral spurgs. And so what they will do, it won't matter. Here's another prediction. You can take this one to the bank too. It won't matter who wins. It won't matter any of that. They're just looking like the reason why this is even popular. I think probably even Myron or Brian is even considering this is because they know it's going to be gold. They know it's going to be money in the fucking bank. And I know that, like Brian farms super chats. I mean, if you go and you look at how like his super chat structure is in his description, did you know you can mute a mic on whatever podcast? You have to give them a $500 super chat, but you can mute anyone's mic for 10 minutes for $500 on whatever podcast. I did not know that. Does that apply to Brian's mic as well? Because that would almost be worth $500. I almost might give you $5 just to shut up for 10 minutes. I just let the fucking train roll. Let the bus, like no one at the wheel, man. Just let the bus go. $500, no problem. There you go. Make it rain. I would do that. I don't know if anybody. Let me get to Tate here. As far as the gym is concerned, people were asking me like, Rollo, what do you do? Well, I do TRT. You guys, that's no secret. My workout routine is a sort of a variant, let's just say a modified version of max OT training, which is max overload principle training. It's by Jay Cutler. If you don't know, Jay Cutler is like, I think he's older than I am. Is he? He might be, maybe we're both the same age. I'm not sure. Jay Cutler is fucking yoked at his, and does he do gear? Yeah, of course he does. But I like his principle. I like the overload training principle because it's basically you're doing fewer sets, but you're doing heavy ass like almost your maximum load weight, and so you're only doing between 4 and 6 reps, but you're doing like fucking heavy ass lifts. And that's I've done a lot of different like workout programs, and that's the one that my body seems to work the best with. I'm not an endomorph. I'm more of an, I guess if it still applies, I'm an ectomorph. Like I have more of I've always been a hard gainer. It's been hard for me to like put weight on, and I've never been like a really skinny bitch or anything like that. But like I have always had like more of like a swimmer's body than or water polo player's body than anything. I did play water polo in high school. But I've always been kind of a hard gainer, and it seemed like Max OT has been the one that works the best for me. As far as my diet is concerned, I live on caffeine and stress. That's my diet. And on my cheat days, I eat hate. that's my nutritional program. Stress and caffeine and hate on the weekends. That's my cheat days. I eat hate. No, I usually don't really care too much about my diet. I only eat like one time a day, like really eat, usually in the evening. Not like before bed, but like, like 4 to 6 o'clock. That's when I eat. I don't really eat much for the rest of the day. And then I try to eat like good quality protein. I mean, I'll have a shake maybe in the morning, like a protein shake. Premier Protein. Yeah. I love Premier Protein. Tastes good. I do. You guys are gonna laugh. I sometimes make myself what Sterling Cooper calls a boner shake. Not to get a boner, but like it's protein powder. It's two raw eggs. Well, he does 4. I do 2 raw eggs in it. I might throw a little bit of peanut powder in if I want like a peanut butter, just for flavor, right? And then I'll throw MCT oil in it, and then I'll put almond milk in it, and that's like my high quality protein shake. But he calls that a boner shake. It's basically just like protein powder with like 4 raw eggs in it. And I don't know how, like, I guess, is the cholesterol supposed to do something? I don't know. I'd never need to worry about a boner shake, but, anyways, so that is my nutritional program. My lifting program, as I said, is, Max OT. My cardio program is courtesy of my cardio trainer. Her name is Anna, and she has 4 legs, and she weighs probably about 63 pounds, 65 pounds. And she is a very, very, she's obsessed. She's obsessed with high intensity interval training sprints. She's really great. She's really great. I've never met anyone quite like her. That's how I do it. Let's see. Do I have one more for you? Should I just throw this on here? I want to go watch the game. I don't know who's. Please don't tell me who's winning, because I know that the Niners have just started. They started half an hour ago, so I'm going to get to that. This one, Jamie Lynn. Do we want to do Jamie Lynn? Oh God! All right, here you go. Against my better judgment.
I mean by the agenda. They're not actually trying to have a discussion with these women. What they're doing is they're saying, I'm going to make her look stupid.
Right.
I'm going to ask 5 countries under pressure. She's not going to know. And
if you're a 9th grader in a public school, you should be able to name, well, it's 3 countries actually, not 5, but you should be able to name 5 countries. If you're a 9th grader in average Midwest high school, public high school, you should be able to do that. I don't care what kind of pressure it is, whatever. This isn't Jay Leno where we're just showing idiots on the street, asking them like landmarks and stupid shit like that. That's number 1. Number 2 is this. They don't hand select these girls. We already know that. Jamie, wake the fuck up. See, here's the thing that gets me is, and I like Jamie because she, by the way, she's at the studio she's at is Sticky Paws. She's in Las Vegas. She has the Pink Pill podcast with Jamie Lynn. And I know I've been harping on her a lot lately, but she's my favorite, like, whipping girl, because I think she is the one who repeats the most fallacious bullshit that I've heard in a long time. Right. And she's easy pickings, but the fact of the matter is it's not about making the girls look stupid. They make themselves look stupid. They agree to go on the show. They don't have to go on the show. Have you ever seen? Now, here's what I don't get is she's only using Myron and Fresh in one incident, like name 3 countries, right? It's not gotcha questions. They don't know it. And half of them are hopped up on freaking White Claws anyways. Like Ryan calls it the White Claw Power Hour. It's actually more than an hour.
And I'm going to now say, and then I'm going to form a loose association and say, women can get away with more. You're really going to, like, that is a reach if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. It would be a reach if that's the only thing they did. It would be a reach if they would just, we're just going to base everything on this one stupid 5-country question. 3 countries. 3 countries, not 5, 3. And they can't even do that, right? But they're not making a loose association based on just that one question. It's the whole conversation that happens over the course of like 3 hours, over the course of 3 years on the show. That's where it's coming from. It's not those stupid little TikTok clips that you see. It's not the shorts that you see on YouTube if you watch them at all. It's none of that. It's the collection. It's the aggregate of all of it. And you cannot, in fact, I love you, Jamie, but you cannot be that ignorant. And I don't mean stupid. I mean ignorant, like you're just ignoring what's really going on here. Because what's happening is you're making this presumption that their entire message and their entire assumptions and their entire opinions and the conclusions that they come to are based on one 3-country question that's supposed to make them look stupid. And now all these women are stupid. And that's the association that they have. No, it's not. You do realize they ask more than those questions. You do realize that they have conversations. Well, they make them look stupid. They don't look, I don't think well, first of all, Myron and Fresh don't deliberately try. Even Brian doesn't deliberately try to make women look stupid. In fact, Access Vegas, me and Mike, we go out of our way to pick women who have PhDs, to pick women who are, we've had at least 2 different Miss Nevadas on. We have had women who make, I don't know, about $1 billion, but they're millionaires because they work in in real estate. We've had her on the show. We have had Jamie. She was on the very first episode, I think. She has a degree in psychology. I don't know what exactly the branch is. We've had you on the show. We have smart women on the show. We don't try to make anyone look stupid. If a woman looks stupid, or a man for that example, you know who looks stupid? Sorry, not sorry, but Gary the Numbers guy looked kind of stupid to me. Even Zerka looked pretty ignorant on a lot of things as well. Did we particularly pick them out and say, let's go and see if we can make Gary the Numbers guy look stupid? No, we don't do that. And neither does Myron and Fresh. But because it's on Team Woman, then you feel upset.
And say but these are the manipulation tactics they use, and we have to call them out. So you literally went from springing on name 5 countries to women can get away with everything. Women.
Okay, no one's saying that. Show me where that is. Show me where they're saying women can get away with everything. Show me, please. Back that up. That's all I'm asking anybody who wants to debate me or Andrew Wilson or anyone else. If you're on that side of the fence, you better come correct. You better mention names. You better, obviously she's mentioning Myron and Fresh because they're the only ones that do the 3-country thing, right? Got it. But it's like, at least mention them by name. Oh, all of these guys mention these 5. It's like, first of all, it's not 5, it's 3. You can't even name 3. And then second of all, they're not doing that to manipulate. They're not doing that to make women feel bad. They're not jumping from the 3-country test to, see, they can get away with anything. Nobody's saying that. And if you think that that's true, I want to see examples. I want to show me where you see this happening, because it's not happening, and you know it's not happening.
Get away with this. That is a reach, bro.
That's a wild
That's
reach.
wild. That's wacky.
No one's doing it. No one.
I know, but I guess if you don't have any real facts in your arsenal,
that's all they have is facts. That's the problem. That's why you reach. That's the reach. The real reach is conflating this 3-country, that is 5-country test, and turning it into this litmus test for manipulation. And well, if you don't have facts, that's all they have is facts. What's the fact? The fact is women can't name 3 countries. Most of them can. That's the thing. On most occasions, damn near every single time I have been on those shows, we've joked around and done this on our show once or twice, right? Name 3 countries. It's now it's a cliche. Now it's a joke. Now it's kind of silly. Nobody really wants to even do that shit anymore. But every time I have been on Myron and Fresh, unless the chick was like shit-faced drunk, most of them could name it. They don't, why is that even a thing? Most women can do that. They can name 5 countries or 3 countries. They can do it. They're going to say, well, Africa, Asia, South America, that's what they're expecting. Or they're expecting a town or a city. How about Toronto? Is that a country? Ha, ha, ha. Nobody does that. Most women, at least every time I have been on the show and they ask that question, I would say all but one could do it. And the one that couldn't is probably too many White Claws in. Or that one girl already knows what she's going to say, and some other girl took her country. Right? Because you have to name a different country than somebody else is named, right? Because otherwise you just name what everybody says, right? So that's the whole thing. The problem is these two women don't know what they're talking about. All we do, women lose interest. They glaze over. Their eyes roll back in their head when Mike starts talking about Dr. David Buss and the 34 country test again. Every single time. It's too many facts. You know what makes women look stupid? When their eyes get glazed over when Mike is going into some like monologue about or asking women questions about like how many guys get laid. What's the percentage of guys who are virgins right now? Those same standard things that we keep going over all the time. If we inundate them with facts and figures, that's when they lose their shit. That's when they lose interest. They fall asleep. They want to talk about the Kardashians. They want to talk about why men ain't shit. They want to have they can't get to Myron. So they go through me. They go, Myron, I'm glad to be a buffer for you, but like they go through me and they go through Mike. Jamie Preston was mentally scarred by Myron. And I understand, but I'm not him. Like you got a bone to pick with Myron, please. He's easy to get a hold of. You could go, Jamie, you could go. Well, Jamie Preston or Jesse Preston, you could go on Fresh and Fit anytime you want. I'm sure they would love to have you out there. I'm sure Fresh would love to entertain you on a yacht somewhere. Lord knows he entertained CJ Sparks one time. Anyways, the fact of the matter is they don't know what they're talking about.
You are going to go, like we said before, for that low hanging fruit and being like, okay, like how can I, make myself look better?
Like, this is what I mean.
Okay, so they're not trying to make themselves look better. They're asking a simple question that a ninth grader should be able to answer. That's number one. Number two is they're not trying to manipulate anyone. Women are there by their own volition. Nobody's like forcing them at gunpoint to be on the show. And then lastly, all we have is stats and figures. In fact, that's the thing that we have to be the most careful of, because when we do it too much and all at once, that's when women lose interest. All we have is facts and figures. In fact, me and Mike, was it like 2 or 3 shows ago? All we did was like, okay, here's some more data. On this show, I'll go and I'll quote, I'll quote Rolf Dengen, I'll quote Steve Stewart Williams, David Buss, Rob Henderson, Gad Saad, Marty Hazelton, Hector Garcia, Gangstad, David Buss, God, for all day long, right? All we do is present facts and figures. And the reason why you think it's manipulative and you think it's hateful and you think it's like, oh, these guys are just trying to make themselves feel better. The reason why you think that is because ladies think that the only reason guys would do that is because they don't get no pussy. They would say, well,
like, man, Roll Tomasi don't get no hoes, man.
Roll Tomasi don't get no hoes, so that's why he wrote these books.
Like, man, Roll Tomasi don't get no hoes, man.
Yeah, Roll Tomasi don't get no pussy, and Myron Gaines don't get no pussy, and so that's why they have to make women feel stupid so they feel better about themselves and they can sleep at night. That is some ignorant ass psychotherapist bullshit, is what that is. And I'll be happy to bring that up at this debate if it ever goes down. I hope it does. Anyways, that's it. I got to go watch my Niners win. Somebody tell me what the spread is. What's the point spread for today? I should have bet. I did bet. I should say I bet Mike Sartain that if that if the Niners win the Super Bowl, he no longer gets to say Brock the bartender anymore. He has to say Brock the quarterback, because Brock Purdy is the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. And yes, I have been a Niners fan since day one. I'm also a Raiders fan because by default, since I have a semi-residence in Las Vegas, I have to root for the home team as well. But that is my show, and that's what I'm going to do. What do I have coming up? There is no Access Vegas this week. We are going to do one on the 6th and 7th, but it won't be in Access Vegas. It will be we're doing Babes in Toyland. Now, why are we taking 2 weeks off? Well, because we could do it this week, I suppose, but we have other commitments, and Ned has to go get surgery tomorrow, and I wanted to make sure that I was 100% here all the time, and he's probably going to need my help for recovery and everything because he's having his his bionic plate pulled out. His Wolverine adamantium claws are being pulled. Actually, they should be installed, I think. He has Wolverine super healing, apparently, according to his surgeon. So we have that. Maybe she can put some claws in there. Please, if you want to donate any more money for Ned's adamantium claws, his Wolverine claws, please do. The surgery, by the way, is another $3,000, which I'm going to charge to the homeowner or the Rottweiler owner. Hopefully we get somewhere around there. Anyways, so we won't be back I'll be doing Babes in Toyland on the Thursday, which is the 8th. That's why we're not doing it on that day. I will be doing the charity event in Las Vegas, Babes in Toyland, with Mike Sartain. I'll probably be doing some Instagram lives at that place. So I'm trying to remember what the club is we're going to be at. So I'll be at Babes in Toyland. That is a charity event. We have, at least 100 of the hottest chicks on planet Earth will go to they go to these charity events all the time. I think this one might be, I think this is for animal rescue. They do an animal rescue one. Sometimes they do Toys for Tots. Sometimes they do wounded veterans and stuff like that. I think it might be the animal rescue one. Those are the ones I'm more into for obvious reasons. And then, so the next one we will do will be, what date is that going to be? So the 8th is, the 8th is, so for the 15th will be the next time we do a Access Vegas. Although Maya Allegra's birthday is on the 15th, and I'm trying to get her to come on the show so we can do something special for her birthday. She's going to be 22. No, I am not simping. Shut the fuck up. So she'll be there. We'll do that. I'm trying to think what else we got going on. If and when this debate goes down, you guys will be the first to know. That said, I'm going to go watch my Niners, and hope you guys were informed and entertained today. What else do I have going on? Did I have anything else to tell you guys? I think that's it. I will be in Vegas a whole lot more coming up. So I might actually start doing this show from Red One Studios, the Northern or the Southern Command Center, the Vegas studio, coming up. I might even start it in February. So my move-in date is like February 5th, I think, for the new place. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I'll keep you guys informed. Thanks for watching, and I love you each and every one. Peace and good night.
I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time, but I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by and went over like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now, let go. Bound to keep me up all night. But maybe we can fuck again, and maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again, then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. They say to give a woman vote would like to let the monkey fly plane. Very dangerous.
Well, I'm a whore.
Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up everywhere while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty?
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and sleeping with her hair like she's Claudia Kelly. Rubbing up and down on your body. Run me up. Rubbing up and down on your body. Turning up my soul on your body. Baby, we get down to it all night. But maybe we can fuck again. And maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know. And maybe we can fuck again. And maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again.
Big City Podcast has been a production of the Rational Male. Registered trademark, all rights reserved. 2024.